Hi, good morning, everyone. Welcome to our Ask Me Any Stock AMAS session today. If you guys can see and hear me loud and clear, this type of GM for good morning. Let me know, guys, if this live stream is working. We are live on. Let me see. Right, we're live on YouTube as well as on Facebook. All right. Okay, seems to be working, but just want to make sure that you guys can see and hear me. You can see our screen as well. It's not hang. Type of GM for good morning. Let me just acknowledge all of you. Help us to like and share as well. Help us to like and share, guys, so that we can reach out to more people as well. All right, more people can join the live stream. We can ask about their stocks. All right, let's see who is joining us here today. Okay, very good. We have Brandon. Hi, good morning, Brandon. Hi, Dex as well. Hi, follow me today. Eddie, Thomas, hi, good morning as well. Zen, good morning. Okay, good. It seems like some of you have already joined us. Thanks for being early. So what happens is that if you are joining us for the very first time, every Friday since like last year, we go live, right? And in this session, it's called AMAS, right? Ask Me Any Stock, whereby we pretty much go through the stocks that you guys are asking about, right? So today we'll be back to the US market because last Friday was Singapore. So we alternate between the Singapore and the US. All right. So very simple. We'll do a quick market outlook. As to what are some of the key levels for the S&P 500 index, even the Dow Jones, some of the news, the factors, the headlines affecting the markets. And we'll go through what is potentially going to happen, what are some of the key levels to take note of as well. Okay. And after that, then we'll go through very quickly on the US stocks that you guys want a quick opinion on. All right. And that's where you can type the name of the US stocks in the chat, not just the name, but also the name, and also give us a bit of context as to what you want to know about these stocks, right? Are you looking to buy? All right. If you are looking to buy, then, let us know maybe a bit of reason, right? And or maybe you're looking to sell, right? What price do you got in previously, right? Is it last month? Is it last year? What price do you bought previously? That will be more helpful. That's where we could do a bit of analysis, which would be a little bit more personalized as well. Does it make sense, Bob? All right, okay. So that will be the next segment, the Ask Any Stock segment. All right, and at the end, that's where, guys, we'll share with you guys 3 bonus US stocks that I have my team over here. So me, Z, and Jia will be here. Each of us will share with you guys 1 bonus US stock that you can put in your watch list for potentially even more upside. All right. Okay. So thank you so much for joining us. Let's see. We have Ben as well. Hi, Behon. Good morning as well. Ajit, good to see you as well. Okay. Very good, guys. So let's get started. So if you have never met before, my name is Joey. All right. Joey Choy, top tier remisier trader in Philips Securities. I've been doing this for more than 15 years now, right? So my forte is pretty much in stocks. All right, stocks. We do like Singapore stocks, we do US stocks, and a little bit of Hong Kong stocks as well. All right, but pretty much in stocks. And I have this strategy that I call the One Good Trend strategy, right? So I'm the founder of the One Good Trend strategy. All right, and we have this tool called the One Good Trend indicator that this makes it so much easier for us, for me, my team, my graduates, my mentees as well, so that it removes the second guessing, the overthinking, the overwhelm. All right, so we kind of like follow a 7-step checklist to guide us on getting in, and also to get out when the time comes, and maybe to get back in again. All right, so that's what we do. Later, when we go through your stocks, I'll share a little bit more about the strategy, about more about my strategy, and of course, give you an opinion on your US stocks. But if you want to find out a bit more about I would say the entire strategy, right? We actually did not have any webinars in like July, but finally next Tuesday to be exact, on the 4th of August, we actually have one webinar. The One Good Trend workshop is a live 2 hours Zoom webinar. All right, so the link is right in the chat. Go to click on it, right? So just place the link in the chat, right? And that's where we will share with you guys a bit more about the entire strategy. All right, we'll break it all down for you even more, right? But today, no time to explain the whole strategy for you. It's just pump. We just go through your stocks very quickly, 1-2 minutes for one stock, and we move on. All right, so that's me. My name is Joey. All right, and of course, I have my team here with me as well. Let me just go and introduce to you my team member. We have Z joining us here as well today. Z, one of the top brokers as well under me in Philips Securities, assisting our thousands of clients. Not just that, but also assisting our team's portfolio manager with an 8-figure portfolio management business, assisting our mentees for one-on-one calls, our group coaching session as well. All right, and Z is a kind of like expert in charts, right? She's a CMT, Chartered Market Technician. Basically, anything to do with charts, candlestick, price action, patterns, whatever. All right, she is the go-to person. I do consult with her as well. All right, so maybe Z, just share a little bit on yourself, Z.
All right, thanks Joey for the introduction. Hi everyone, my name is Z if you have not met. So yeah, basically to sum up what Joey just mentioned, I just like looking at charts lah, right? So the thing is that when you look at charts, I don't like it to be overly complicated, too many things on the chart. Basically, you just need to have a few key things, right? And I think that is where Joey's, the 1GT Pro indicator, which we will be using a lot later on in the next 2 hours, right? You guys can see for yourself as well. With just a click of a button, you'll be able to see whether is there a bullish signal or a bearish signal, right? But it doesn't tell you, okay, the thing is that don't misinterpret what I say. It doesn't mean that if you see bullish signal, go and buy. You see bearish signal, immediately sell. There are certain things that we also need to take a look out for, right? In terms of the checklist, in terms of what do we want to look out for in terms of a confluence of factors, right? So those are the things whereby if you want to learn a bit more, you want us to dive a bit deeper into it, that's where you can actually attend. I think next week, Joey actually have a webinar, right? A free masterclass, whereby that's where he will dive right into all of those little details, right? More in depth about why we are doing what we are doing. Right. So yeah, I mean, hopefully later on you will also get some value from some of the stocks that we analyze requested by you guys, right? So stay tuned and all the way until the end, whereby we will actually share 3 of our bonus stock, right? So without further ado, I'll pass the time back over to Joey so that he can also introduce our teammate as well, which is Jia.
All right, thank you so much, Z. So yes, another of my team member joining us today. So Bervin today is not really feeling well, so he's working on other stuff for now. But we have Jia joining us today, one of the top brokers as well under me, Flip Securities, working with me for more than 3 to 4 years now. Assisting our group coachings, one-on-one coaching as well. And Jia also has a special expertise or interest in what we call candlestick price action. All right, so maybe Jia, just share a little bit about yourself, Jia.
All right, thank you, Joey. So good morning, everyone. Welcome to another AMS session. So for those who are actually joining us for the first time, my name is Choy over here. And actually, I've been working with Joey since 2023. So like what I mentioned, about 3 years, supporting our clients and through operations, client servicing, and also trade execution. So I think for this week, it has been quite an eventful week for the US market. With investors digesting a wave of like the corporate earnings, the latest Federal Reserve meeting, and also some key data from the US side. So I think while some companies actually delivers strong results, I mean, we can also see like there's an increased market volatility as well, and also how investors are reassessing valuations and expectations as well. So I think for today, like what we have mentioned, as Zia mentioned as well, we'll be using the 1GT indicator to analyze the stocks that you guys are looking at. So let's discuss what are the potential opportunity in the stocks that we're looking at. So I think with that, maybe let me pass back my time to Joey to kickstart this whole thing.
All right, thank you so much, Jai. So let's get started, right? So 3 of us will be here today. We'll be adding value to you guys to make sure that you learn something about the strategy, you learn something about your stocks that you are asking about. All right, I think some of you are already typing in the name of the stocks that you want a quick opinion, right? So very good if you do that, good, right? But as I say, what you want to do is that you want to give us a bit of context, right? Context. So that's where we will give you more priority, but you just put one word there, then I also don't know what name, what's the stock doing. But you give us a bit of context, that's where we will give you a bit more priority. All right, you put the time and effort to type a bit, then we will kind of like choose your stock to share with everybody lah. Can? All right, can? Okay, so let's get started. Very simple, just a quick disclaimer as usual. Whatever that's being shared in our live show every Friday, just for education purposes only. So please do your own due diligence, right? Not really asking you to buy or to sell anything. We're just sharing with you guys our framework, the structure that we're using, the one good trend strategy, of course, the tools, the indicator that we're using, give you a quick opinion on some of the key levels, and you decide on your own actions, right? You control your own actions, in fact. Cool, all right? So just a quick disclaimer as usual. So let's take a look very quickly, guys, at what we call the markets, right? Specifically, I mean, of course, it's the US market today, the AMAS US session, right? So we'll be looking at what we call the S&P 500 index, right? Type of S for S&P, guys. If you would like me to go through very quickly the S&P 500 index as to what is happening in the market, the news flow, the headlines, and of course, technically as well. As for S&P, let me know, right? I think this is one of the very popular index that tracks the top 500 companies in the US, right? Give us a very good understanding of what is happening, right? Let's see who is joining us. I think we have more than 70 of you joining us on YouTube as well as on Facebook. Very good. S, Brandon S as well, John S. Any more of you? All right. Or maybe we could just skip this, right, and not talk about the market. Okay, a lot, right? Oh, good to see you here as well. Good morning, all right? Cynthia S as well. TSM, I think some of you are looking at some of the stocks. Okay, never mind. Let's just go through very quickly, guys. The S&P 500 index, right? So, I mean, in terms of the news that has been happening in the markets, I think let's just go through very quickly. I think all of you who have been following the news will probably know, right? We saw a very good recovery in the market since like March, April, right over here when there were some positive developments between the US and Iran war, right? So there was like kind of talks, going on. And in fact, there was like a ceasefire as well. However, of you who have been following the news know that the ceasefire agreement has kind of got like cancelled, right? And missiles, drones, attacks were starting again between US and Iran over the past 1 to 2 weeks, right? Of course, it escalated a little bit again, right? Escalated a little bit, I think just a few days back, US was launching missiles into Iran energy facilities. Of course, Iran was launching missiles into US bases in the Middle East, right? In Saudi Arabia and all that. So, that's where it caused a bit of weakness in the market. Oil prices spiked up again, all right? So that is kind of like the ongoing news over the past like 4 to 5 months, all right? And with that, I think the market is kind of like taking a breather, all right, to wait for more certainty. And that is kind of like the US and Iran news, right? Next thing would be what we call the inflationary pressures, right? Of course, with oil prices going up, there are talks about inflation, there are talk about rate hikes, and in fact, just like 2 days back, the Federal Reserve kept the Fed fund rates unchanged or steady, right? And the market started to sell off. I think they were kind of like expecting maybe, I don't know, a potential hike or something, right? Maybe sooner, right? But the market sold off, the tech stocks all sold off. Yesterday, we saw a very strong rebound, right, in the technology sector, in the market, right? Very strong earnings result coming from like Microsoft and some of the tech news results. So a lot of the news coming, I would say, corporate earnings coming out, oil prices, US-Iran war, Fed funds, what the Federal Reserve is saying as well, inflationary data, all these are all affecting the markets, all right? And I would say that's where we are seeing not very clear signals, okay? So this is pretty much the news that we are seeing right now affecting the market. And because of all this, I would say uncertainty, right, whereby it's not very clear yet, the market has been in what we call a bit of a short-term consolidation. So let me just share with you guys the key levels. In fact, over the past few AMA session, when we talk about the S&P 500 index, I talk about this level, right? The 7,600 level, that will be a very key resistance for the S&P 500 index. Right over here, right? I've drawn this red line. Look at this, right? We touch, almost touch, touch, then come down. Every time we go there, we come down, right? So that is a very key resistance level for the entire market. Next thing will be this level. I think support used to be at 7,250, all right? But it seems to be a little bit higher already, all right? Maybe somewhere around that 7,300. In fact, like last night or on Wednesday, we kind of like sold to there and the market rebounded and pushed away from it, the 7,300 yesterday as well. So it seems like 7,300 is still the support level. So the range is what we call the same 300 points, consolidation range, right, for the entire market, right? Look at this, up and down, all right, up, down, maybe going up again, maybe coming down again, all right? I think that is pretty much the range, like 7,300 to 7,600, right? And if I could turn on, all right, this tool that I have, I call it the One Good Trend Pro indicator. In a matter of seconds, we could turn on the very first box, and that will be what we call the bullish and bearish signals. Let's turn it on. Pop. All right. So any stock, I mean, later when we go through your stock as well, we'll turn it on, right? It gives us a quick opinion, right? In a matter of seconds, right? I mean, not seconds, like maybe 1 second now, right? Pump, off, on. All right. Whether the stock or the market is good or bad, a bit weaker, you want to be careful, or maybe you want to be more bullish, right? It gives us a bit of an idea, a bit of a confirmation, all right? On top of other confirmation. So as Z mentioned just now, doesn't mean you turn it on and you see one green signal and you're going to buy. No, right? You see one green signal. I mean, that's at least better than red. But but you see a green bullish signal, and then you see like some other confirmations like the short-term trend, all right, the long-term trend, and some other things that we look for as well. That's where it gives us a bit more conviction for that buy trade. Does it make sense, right? But doesn't mean you see one green signal means and you go and buy no lah, huh? So we actually have a 7-step checklist. If we get 4 out of 7, that would be a good potential entry, right? So as I say, guys, no time to explain the whole 7-step checklist today, but if you find a bit more, attend a free webinar, right? The link is right in the chat, right? Can you just place the link in the chat again, right? In case we forget, right? Probably hidden somewhere already. Okay, again, so the link's right in the chat. We have a webinar next Tuesday, 4th August, 7:30 p.m. All right. Okay. Now, very quickly for the S&P 500 index. I mean, I've turned on the signals, right? And of course, you can see that in March, February, we got bearish red color signal. Then not so good lah, right? You can see the short-term trend was turning down as well. Look at the short-term trend, the green line turning down. All right. So not so good. You want to get out, reduce a bit of exposure. All right. Don't hold too much position. Risk management, right? All this is important as well, right? But when we got bullish signals popping out in like April, there we go. Very strong rally. And let's take a look at the most recent signal, right? So the market has been, I would say, in a bit of a consolidation since, ever since we got this 1GT bearish signal. And when did this 1GT bearish signal came out? It came out on the 5th of June already. All right, 5th of June, which is like almost 2 months ago, about 2 months already, right? So once we get a bearish signal, you can see that, it doesn't mean we get a bearish signal more, you're going to crash and jialat lah. No. It just means that some selling have came back lah. It's a bit of, it's not so strong. It's not as if you can just, break and then go higher, then 8,000, 9,000. No lah, right? It means that some selling have came back. The uptrend have turned a little bit into maybe a sideways trend, all right? And indeed, right? We got a bearish signal. You can see that the green 20 days moving average line that was going up, all right? And that gives us an idea of the short-term trend, right? So the green line that was going up from April, May, once come to June, right? You can see it is flat lah, right? So that is another confirmation that we are in a sideways consolidation in the short term, right? Coupled with this bearish signal, right? So what are we actually looking for? Very simple, right? What we're looking for to see more strength, to see the next phase of the market would be if we can actually break the 7,600 resistance, right? I think that would be a very key level. If we were to break the 7,600, like previously you could see, right? We broke the 7,000 resistance level. The market started to push much higher all the way to 7,600, all right? 600 points in like about a month plus, all right? So same thing. Now it's not 7,000, now it's 7,600 lah, all right? But if you can break the 7,600, we would get what we call a new 1GT bullish signal, like the first one right over here, right? Of course, now don't have lah, but this is the first signal that came out in March, April, right? That led the reversal. So let's say we see this thing over here or here, I don't know when now, but once it come out, doesn't mean come out means also will confirm go up lah, doesn't mean that, right? But once we come out, plus we see other confirmation like the green 20 days moving average line that I mentioned has been like flat for the past 2 months, right? Also start to reverse back up, right? In terms of the short-term trend, I would say that would be a very, very good, indication that the market is prepared to move even higher. We could get more certainty in terms of some of the news flow. I think those would be very key catalysts, right, for the market to move even higher, right? So I think right now, nothing wrong. The trend in the longer term, right, it still looks okay. Look at the red line, the blue line, all right, it still looks okay. Just that in the short term, the market is kind of like consolidating from the 7,300 to the 7,600 range, right? And if you have been following the technology sector, so I think the S&P 500 index has been selling down a little bit due to, for the past 1 week plus 2 weeks, the technology sector, the AI, the semiconductor place has been selling down a little bit, right? Because a bit of sector rotation. And that's what we mentioned over the past one month plus already, right? Sector rotation of funds away from the technology to the consumer place, to the utilities, to the financial sector, to the the more defensive sector as well, right? So that's what we're saying the market as the market consolidates sideways, right? But I think, as I say, if the 7,000 gives way, and that's where the tech sector will come back much stronger as well, all right? With strength of funds pouring back into the technology sector. But for now, not very clear yet, all right? Still a bit of uncertainty. Later, maybe when we go through some of the technology, the AI stocks that you guys asking about, we can take a look at it again, right? So this is the S&P 500 index. Okay, now let's go through very quickly. Maybe the Dow Jones, I mean, since like Dow Jones is another very popular index right over here. So Dow Jones has been seeing a very strong reversal. Like, look at this, right? We've got bullish signals since like April, pump. All right, first one over here, second one over here, it went even higher. All right, support-wise, in fact, let's take a look at the resistance. I think resistance, you want to take note, 53,000, right over here. I think that is pretty much a very key level. All right, support, I would say, has came out, thankfully, somewhere around the 51,500 level. All right, so you can see that we have been holding a bit of it for more than a month now. Look at this, right? A couple of bullish candles, we neared it, rebounded. In fact, the past 1 week when the market sold off, we neared it on Wednesday. I think more than 1,000 points. All right, sell down in the market, right? Very, very heavy sell down. But most people will look at it and see like, wow, I know it's like 1,000 points. It's going to be very scary. It's going to crash, right? Like same thing over here, right? Look at on this day, right? On the 10th of June, right? I think probably some news in the market, right? Very red bearish candle, right? And most people think that, 1,000 point miss is very bad. I mean, of course, it's quite a heavy sell down on that day. But if you look at it in perspective, you look at it in terms of the chart, right? Actually, that is where, if we were to sell down to that level, that is also where potentially some good bargain hunting can come back, all right? And true enough, right? Yesterday on a Thursday, all right? And yesterday, in fact, we got a pretty good bullish candle popping out as we neared that 5,100, right? So if you look at it like a specific day, well, it doesn't really give us a bit of, understanding of what is happening in totality on the charts, right? But if you look at it over the past 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, right? And of course, you turn on the one good trend pro indicator, you see bullish signals, the long-term trend is up. Actually, it's still okay, right? I would say maybe a bit of a sideways consolidation, right? But at least support have came out at 51,500 level, right over here, right? So I think that is pretty much a good support. All right, if you can hold above it, still okay. Range is 51,500 all the way to that 53,000 level. All right, and same thing, right? Because of all this news flow happening in the market, so the Dow Jones has been moving higher, right? Because of some of the, focus on not just on the technology sector, but also the consumer staples and other stocks as well. So it's been pretty strong, all right, from April all the way up. But the past 2 weeks, you can see that the green line that represents the short-term trend, all right, up, right, starting to flatten out as well, right? So a little bit of a sideways as well, from up to sideways for the Dow Jones, which is normal. The fact that the market is seeing some resistance, all right, a bit of selling whenever we hit to some of those resistance level. I think that's where we are consolidating, right? So it could be a good opportunity. It could be a good opportunity if you know what stocks to get in on dips. Not all stocks, some can, some cannot, some maybe can be still weaker. So if you know what to get in on dips, could be attractive opportunities as well. And that's where you could start to load up when we get confirmations, when we get more stability, when we get clear reversal signals as well. All right, Ken? So that would be the Dow Jones. All right, so there we have it, guys. I hope that you have a better understanding of some of the key levels for the market, what is happening, what's the trend like. Okay, now let's move on very quickly, guys, to the next segment. Which would be the US stocks that you guys want a quick opinion on. So would it be okay, guys? Would it be okay to go ahead to type in the name of the US stocks you want in the chat? I have not looked at it yet, but let me just give me like 1 minute to look at it, and I'll pick the very first stock for today. Okay, so yeah, going to type the name of the US stocks in the chat. All right, give us a bit of context. Let us know, are you looking to buy? If you're looking to buy, good. All right, what levels are you looking at? All right, maybe a bit of your sharing as well, that would be good. Or if you're looking to sell, when do you get in? What price do you get in? That will give us a bit of understanding. I think it'll be much more useful. You get more value that way as well. All right, cool. Okay, so go ahead to type in the chat. All right, type in the chat, guys. What would be some of the US stocks you would like me and my team to go through for you? All right, so we'll go one by one. I'll go first. I'll pass on the mic to Jia, and Jia will pass on the mic to Z, and then we'll do this round robin style. Cool. Okay, come, let me pick the very first stock for today. So I've not like gone through it, but let's take a look at it, right, very quickly. Wow, let's see. Okay, since a lot of you asking about Micron, let's just do Micron. Okay, let me pull out. Ajit Micron, Micron. All right, let's take a look. So this is Micron. Wow. Okay, let's take a look at some of the comments, right? Ajit, I've been trading Micron when it was $300 plus. Wow, $300 plus. Now it's 800. Wow. Congrats, sure. Okay, I came down a bit, but you're at least making money, okay? And even bought it at 900 plus. Okay, so you went out, you bought a little bit more, came down, be in and out several times. Please share what the trend is for Micron. Is it too late to enter? Okay, very good. So you're looking to maybe get in. All right, maybe you got out and you want to get in again. Okay, Ken, thank you so much for giving us a bit of context. Jenny, MU bought at 893. So around right over here, 893. Okay, maybe the past few weeks. All right, do I wait for long term? So you got in. Thank you so much for giving us a bit of context as well. Follow me today. I enter late at 10. Okay, slightly higher, right? Maybe 1016, right? Follow me today. I want to sell now, but is it too late? Should I sell at a loss? Okay, so you have got in. Maybe should you sell? All right. Okay, let's see. Any other Micron? Okay, good. I think that would be for Micron, right? So some of you have got in, some of you, are looking maybe to get in a bit more. Okay, and maybe for Ajit looking to get in but haven't get in yet. Okay, so let's take a look at Micron. So this is Micron over here. You can see that for Micron is one of the stocks actually we like it. I mean, we have some in our position since like a couple of months back, right over here. It was like 300, 400. We got two bullish signals. Look at it, right? Very, very strong rally, right? All the way up from 300, 400, all the way to like 1,000 level, right? All the way up. Very, very strong, right? All the way. I think 150, I mean, let's say somewhere 159, 160%, right over here, right? However, you can see, guys, that in June, somewhere in June, when the technology sector started to be a bit weaker, a bit of sell down in the tech stocks, right? People are looking at the valuations, a bit of, kind of like being overvalued, in terms of potential rate hikes coming as well. And, in terms of like, infrastructure spending, billions of dollars, is it sustainable, right? So that's where the tech stocks, the AI plays, the semiconductors, all started to see a bit of weakness, right? Some was holding very well, but some started to pull back, some retrace down to lower support levels. So for Micron, I would say that when we got bearish signals popping out in June, you can see that it was still okay. It pushed up. We got, in fact, another bullish signal went up. But somewhere around July, like beginning of the year, now it's end of July, right? But somewhere around beginning of July, we actually got another 1GT bearish signal coming out. So I would say that, for Micron, okay, the longer term trend is okay. We look at what we call the red and the blue line, right over here. Look at the red line pointing up, the 100 days moving average. The blue line would be the 200 days moving average. So the longer term trend, actually, if you ask me, is okay, right? It's okay, right? It's still up, no issues. In fact, look at this previously in like March, April, we kind of like sold down. We got a bearish, right? You can see right over here. We got a bearish signal. We sold down, right? And then the longer term trend was still up. We got two bullish signals coming out, all right? And what happened? We saw a very, very strong rally up, right? And when we neared the longer term moving averages, look at this, right? So previously you can see that when we sold down, we neared what we call the 100 days moving average, right over here. I mean, we kind of like deep to where the longer term moving averages are. Let me show you what I mean. So right over here, right? So you can see this is red and blue line, right? So we got a bearish signal, we deep to the longer term moving averages, which acted a little bit like a dynamic support level, right? In terms of the uptrend in the longer term, all right? And then we push away, we got bullish signals confirming that rebound move. Now that I've shown you what happened in March, let's take a look at what is happening now. Are we nearing the longer term moving averages? Are we nearing the red line, all right? Or even the blue line, right? Let's take a look. So you can see that for Micron right now, right? Yep. Same thing. We got a bearish signal. Same thing like in March, we also got a bearish signal, right? Is the green line pointing down? Yes, the green line, I mean, the short-term trend of, I mean, don't need to bluff yourself, like it's still pointing down, right? I mean, I also love it to point out, but it is still pointing down. Does it make sense, right? So, which is correct, like in March also, it was pointing down a bit more, right? And we got a bearish signal, right? So I would say that the short-term trend for Micron, we're not out of the woods yet. Right, we're not out of the woods yet. It's still very uncertain. Of course, yesterday we saw a very strong rebound, more than 14, 13% rebound, right, when we broke down this support level. So you want to take note of this key level. I think this level is very important. We are very near this buy zone already, right? This buy zone would be right over here. Can you see? Right, this was where we were somewhere in May, hovered above it. In fact, on Wednesday, we sold down. Yesterday, rebounded up above that 700, above the 800. So this will be what we call a very, very important zone over the next. So it's very volatile, right? I mean, we are looking at like day by day because the market can be up and then down, up and down. That's what we're seeing in the technology sector. So yesterday, very strong rebound, right? Very strong rebound. But tonight, I don't know, right? You might see a bit of a pullback again as people, take some profit, get out. You might see a bit of a pullback again, right? But what we want to see overall over the next 1 to 2 weeks, right, is that we want to see these levels holding, all right? This will be, I would say, the 700, right? 700 level to the 800 level, right? So that is pretty much where we were in May, all right? Held above for like 2 weeks, 3 weeks, rebounded. We're right here on Wednesday. Thursday, rebounded. Still okay, still good. But it's only like 2 days. So we need a bit more confirmation. So back to your question, right? I would say that in terms of the longer term trend, it is fine. In fact, as I mentioned just now, if we were to near the longer term moving averages, look at this previous day, I say, right? We neared the 100 days moving average over here. All right. Same thing. On Wednesday, you can see we kind of like near the red line also, right? We kind of like near like about 730, 740, right? We near the longer term moving averages, which acts like a bit like a dynamic support level. And that's where we push away again, right? So we are indeed looking quite attractive. To be honest, it's quite attractive, right? Just that we need more confirmation. We need more confirmation in terms of like whether the reversal is coming, right? Whether we are indeed seeing not weakness, not sideways, but strength, right? Like what we see over here, And that's where, if we were to get bullish signals, not one, but two popping out again, like what we saw in April, that would be very good confirmation. So if you ask me right now, has the bullish signal actually appeared? Haven't yet, right? I mean, I also don't know when it appear, but of course, if it appeared, then I will know, Make sense? All right. So once it appeared, all right, and once we see this green line, at least just flatten out, right? So if, as I said, that zone which I draw just now, right, that 700 to 800, very important zone. If we continue to stay above 700 or maybe even 800, great. That is where I would say this green line would not point down. I mean, now it's down, right? But it would not point down. It will start to flatten out. That will give us some stability, some signs of buyers really coming back to support that 700 or even the 800 level, right? That's where I would say that it will be a better, more safer entry than to rush in now, because now, not say you cannot get in, you can get in, but it's like very volatile, right? Up, down, you might get in, you might get trapped, next day come down again, right? So if you really want, you can try to get in on dips. You don't have to rush to get in on the, at the high, right? Like for example, like rebounded, who knows, right? Because very strong rally, people might take some profit. We might come back down and pull back again to that support level, and then that's where buyers return again, right? So no clear confirmation yet. Unfortunately, short-term trend still down, even though a potential horizontal support have came out from 700 to hit 800. But we just need a bit more confirmation that could lead what we call the reversal back up, right? So if the green line, as I mentioned, what happened in March, April, if that happens, the green line not only flatten out, but flatten out and also start to turn up. Plus you see another bullish signal over here, a different story. Right, that is where I would say that the confirmations that we are seeking has arrived. It will be a much better, firmer, nicer confirmation, all right, to write what we call the reversal. Cool? All right, so that is for Micron. That's for Micron. So I hope that helps. All right, is it too late to enter? Not too late, right? Just that we need a bit more confirmation. Don't need to rush. Try to get it on dips as possible, right? I hope that helps, Ajit. All right, and yeah, so that is for MU, Micron. Okay, so let me pass on the mic to Jia to cover the next US stock. Jia, go ahead, yours.
All right, thank you, Joey, for covering on Micron. Yeah, I think Micron has a lot of people's interest and see a lot of people asking. So I think the next stock that we're covering on, also one of the counters that are also quite a lot of people are looking at, and also one of the Magnificent Seven, which will be on actually Google. So let me just share my screen. Yeah, I think Janet was asking about Google, came down from the 400 high and seems reversing back up. is it a good time to enter or should I wait for a 1GT bullish signal? So it seems like you're looking at it, no entry for this Google. So you're looking to enter or where could be a potential entry for this Google. So I think Google wise, let me just hide the comments so that you guys can see the screen. I think Google wise is also one of the counters that are also in our watch list and also have a lot of interest, I think, since last year. I think last year, if you look at it, previously it was kept under this 200 psychological resistance level. Back then, I think start of last year, it actually was kind of showing weakness. When it started to reverse, there was a 1GT bullish signal that appeared. Afterwards, when it broke above that 200 level, another 1GT bullish signal appeared again. So there's two 1GT bullish signal. Then you see since then it went up. If you bought in at the second one and went up all the way to the 1GT bearish signal, you're up about 65%. So I think for Google wise, when you look at it back then, it went up, break above that 200, continue to show more strength. All the moving averages started to point up. Everything is in line. We see that went above resistance and resistance. So if you were to zoom in just maybe end of last year to start of this year, we can see that previously $300 was a key support level that was tested quite a few times. Prices came to test this level, I think last year, December. Then you see that in Feb, it actually tested quite a few times. Couldn't stay above it, break below. 1GT bearish signal appear also. But then just around April, you see that actually overall, even though the short term is showing weakness, but the moving averages for the long term, which is the 100 days, which is the red line, and also the 200 days, which is the blue line, both are still pointing up and indicates that long term wise is still showing strength. So you can see that prices afterwards, after a few, maybe just a few weeks, two weeks, rebounded back up, stayed above that 300, another 1GT bullish signal that reappear. Could be a sign that there could be more upside, and which indeed we see that afterwards prices did went above that 300 support, went close to that 350 resistance again, and broke above that 350, and another 1GT bullish signal reappeared. So I think like what Janet mentioned, it actually afterwards went up to close to a high of about 400, which we see over here. It went to that 400, couldn't break above, came back down to test actually at 380 support but didn't stay above afterwards. 1GT bearish signal reappeared again, indicating there's short-term weakness or more selling pressure in this counter. And afterwards, indeed, we see that it came back down to that 350, couldn't stay above, and now currently we are seeing that prices is trading below this 350 level. So I would say for near-term wise, if you're looking at Google, both the moving averages for the long term 100 days and the 200 days is still pointing up, indicating that long term wise this counter is still quite, the strength is still there. It's just that short term wise 20 days moving average is already pointing down. You see that the green line already pointing down, and especially it's kind of close to that 100 days moving average. So if it crossed below, that's actually not a very good indication. It indicates that there might be more weakness in terms of the in terms of this counter. So actually for Google wise, if you were to look at it, back then 300 was a support, 350 was a resistance. So currently prices is trading in between this 300 to 350 level. Maybe what we want to see is actually for Google Alphabet, if you're looking to enter, best is for the price to actually break above this 350 level. So 350 was previously a key support level, and currently you see that 350 is also near the 20 days and 100 days moving average. So if prices are able to break above this 300 and stay above it, we might see that this could become a support again. First thing is you notice that prices might start to move above that 350. The 20 days moving average might start to flatten and start to point up. And when you look at it, when prices are staying above that 350, both the long-term and the short-term moving averages are pointing up. I think there's more confirmation and more strength in this counter. Maybe that's when you can actually look to re-enter or to enter for this Alphabet. And especially if you were to turn on that trailing support and resistance. I think for this, the 1GT Pro indicator will have a trailing support and resistance. So for those who are actually trying out the 1GT Lite, you might find, how come there's no this trailing support and resistance. So we are currently using the 1GT Pro indicator. So that's why there's a trailing support and resistance. And I think if we were to turn on this trailing resistance, we can see that the trailing resistance, which account for the volatility of this stock, we see that actually is currently near that 360 level. So if prices break above that 350 and start to show more strength and maybe move above the 360 or the trailing resistance level, we might see that the first 1GT bullish signal might reappear. And by then, with all the moving averages pointing up, prices above a new support level of 350 and 1GT bullish signal reappearing again, you actually have more confirmation, more signals that this counter might show more upside. Maybe that's when you can actually look to enter for Google Alphabet. So I think for now, prices is still currently below this 350 level, which is currently a resistance. Best is to actually wait for prices to show more strength, break above that 350, see a new support, and that's when you can see that 350 might be a support zone that you might look at to enter for this alphabet. And maybe the next upside target might be towards that 380 or even that 400 psychological resistance level. So I think for Janet, I mean, just to answer your question, you are looking to enter or should you enter now or should you wait for 1GT bullish signal? I would say wait for more strength to come in, wait for prices to break above that 350 and stay above it. That's when there's a new buy zone that you can look to enter, and maybe by then there's a 1GT bullish signal that reappears again, and that's even a stronger confirmation that there could be more upside for this alphabet. So hopefully that answers your questions on Google. Yep. If not, I'll pass on my time to Z to cover the next stock.
All right, thanks, Jiayi. Okay, so let me move on to the next stock over here, and the stock will be by Cecilia, right? Cecilia, I hope you are still here. Good morning. I would like to find out more about ABBV. If this is a high potential US stock for investment 3 to 6 months, is the current price 259 a good buy-in price? Okay, let me just hide the comment and let's take a look at ABBV together. All right. Okay, so ABBV, first and foremost, I think you can see that the trend, right, so far, right, is still looking pretty okay, right? Because why do I say that? It's because first thing, we always want to make sure that we are on the right side of the trend, right? You want to buy only when the trend is up in terms of the short term, in terms of the longer term, right? So short term wise, I think everybody here can agree the green line is definitely pointing up, right? And the red and the blue line is actually showing us some signs of positivity, right? Whereby the red is attempting to cross above the blue line, which is what we want to see, right? To give us a confirmation that the longer term trend is actually also up, right? Because when we think about buying, ideally, we want something like that, right? In terms of the moving average, green up, red up, blue up, right? And now you can see here, red is attempting to cross above the blue. Green, don't need to say, green is already up. Right, so those are good signs, right? Those are definitely good signs that we want to watch for and to keep our eyes peeled for, especially when we are thinking about entering a position. Okay, so then the next thing is, of course, you need to know if you want to think about buying. You are asking if 259 is a good buy-in price, right? But then where do we even see or think about buying is we want to take note of the support levels and the support zones, right? It will not be a specific point as to 259 lah, 256 lah. That is the specific point. No, we usually take a look at it as a zone, right? Why? It's because when I draw my support level, Jiayi draw his support level, Joey draw his support level, it might not exactly be at a specific same point, right? But it would always be around that zone, right? So that is why we always term it as a support zone and a resistance zone, right? So based on ABBV right now, right, over the past couple of months, actually even in fact since 2025, right, October all the way to July, you can kind of see that in terms of price action, if you zoom out a little bit, right, you can see that the price action overall from October all the way to June, it was kind of like moving a bit sideways, right? Like in a range. You can clearly see that it was trading within a range. And that range was from 200 to about maybe 240, maybe some would say maybe 230 lah, right? 230 to 240, I think this would be what we call a sell zone, right? This could be a sell zone near the resistance, right? So it was trading within a range of about $40 range from October all the way to July until it managed to break out, right? It break out above this 240 resistance, turning it to become a support level, right? And after that, about 2 to 3 weeks later, right, price breakout above this level, selling pressure came back, and we indeed retested this 240, right? So if a level is being tested multiple times, be it last time a resistance and then now turn into a support and tested again, the more times a level is being tested, the more weight we want to give it, right? So 240 became the new support level, right? Agree? 240 now, price yesterday closed at 257 ma. 257 above 240, right? 240 now is the new support level, right? And yes, and in terms of resistance, right? Because that's just the support. We also need to take note of where's the resistance, right? Because resistance will give us a gauge on, where potentially selling pressure could come back and where can we plan our, use the resistance zone to plan our trading plan, right? To have a trading plan in place, right? So based on this, right, you can see that I have drawn my resistance around 280, right? Then perhaps some of you guys might think like, why draw at 280? How do you even derive 280? It's very simply based on the range here that you see, right? So you see that this $40 range, 200 to 240, and when price break above the 240, potentially based on the range, where could it head towards, right? That is based on a very simple projection up, right? So that is how I got this 280, which potentially if price were to head to that level, we potentially could see selling pressure return. Not saying that confirm will have, but that is how we gauge lah. Because why? If I were to zoom all the way back, is price at an all-time high? Definitely. I don't have a previous price action to tell me that, hey, last time I see selling pressure come back at that level. I don't have, right? So this is the best probability that we can have based on the price action that we have been seeing over the past months. Okay, so resistance near 280, right? Resistance zone. Support zone, like I've mentioned, around 240 right here, right? Previously resistance, now turned into a support, tested again over in mid of July as a support zone. Okay, so now we got support and resistance, right? So then I think comes the question of whether, Cecilia, I don't know what's your risk appetite lah. Are you somebody who is more aggressive, right, in terms of your risk, or you are more conservative, right? Because why? The thing is that now we see yesterday price closed at 257, right? If you see like that, support resistance we have established already, right? It's a bit in the middle of nowhere, right? You see, it's like middle of 280 to about 240, not here, not there, right? Because when we think about buying, where do we essentially want to buy? We want to buy near support zone, right? We want to buy near support zone, right? So definitely for those who are, maybe if you are more risk conservative, right, you're not so aggressive, right, then perhaps you may want to set some price alert near, the 240, 243, 44, 45, near the support zone, right? Near the support zone. When price actually retrace back to the support zone, that's where you can potentially formulate your trading plan, right, based on your entry price, right? But for those who are a bit more aggressive, right, in terms of the risk appetite, right, now price is at 257. If you ask me whether in the next 2 to 3 weeks, can price go back to 240 below, right over here, right, for you to buy? I don't know, right? I don't know whether can price go back for you to buy at 242, 43, 44. I'm not sure, right? But based on the price action over, let me just zoom in, right, over the past 2 weeks, right, we can see that potentially over here, right, maybe about 250 to about 253, like this zone right here, there could be some buying pressure coming back, right, based on the past 2 to 3 weeks price action, right? So potentially this could be a temporary support, right? This could be a temporary support, right, that we are seeing whereby buyers are willing to buy in, step in, support to buy the prices lah, right? And this could also be a reference point for you to base your entry zone at, right? But of course, with that in mind, right, if you do enter, if price were to retrace back to about 250, 251, then of course you also need to do your own risk management, your own position sizing, and also take note of where's your stop loss, right? Because if prices were to retrace, and prices were to break below support, then how? What are you going to do? Because why that is so important, right? take note of this. Today, before market open, that is where the earnings is going to be released, right? And definitely before market open, right, you might see in the pre-market there could be a lot of volatility within this stock itself. And you can look at the earnings previously, right? Like when it actually releases their earnings on their earnings day, right? You can see that it actually move the day movement is actually can be quite wide one. You can see the most recent earning, you can see that it actually opened low and it closed very high, right? At the end of the day, it closed even higher, right? It's a very bullish sentiment based on maybe the guidance at that point in time when the earnings is released. But then you look at another quarter, right? Same thing actually happened, but in the November earnings result, it actually get down, right? So it doesn't mean that the past earnings result, right, is an indicative performance of future results. No, it doesn't mean that, last time I see price open lower, it close higher. Confirm today, price open lower, close higher. No, it doesn't mean that, right? It just means that based on what we have seen over the past quarters when earnings result is released, right, there's a lot more volatility. So you need to bear in mind that for today, right? For today, definitely when we are seeing, when this stock is actually opening, when we are actually opening at 9:30 later, right? So bear in mind of that volatility, right? And take note of some of the levels that we have mentioned in terms of maybe the support around 250 as well as the 240 key support level, right? And take note of that to actually think about, what, based on your own risk appetite, I don't know, right? Based on your own risk appetite and based on your trading plan, what is your trading plan going to be? If prices were to move a certain manner towards the support, is that where you are thinking about buying, right? And what about your position sizing and also your target? And make sure that the risk to reward, right, actually makes sense to you, because that's the most important thing. Okay, so let me pull out the comment again. So Cecilia, right? Cecilia. So as you mentioned, for ABBV, right, I hope that these are some of the levels that perhaps you want to take note of, write down, set some price alert in your trading view, right? And to monitor it maybe for at least today, tomorrow, or not tomorrow, sorry, tomorrow market close, right? Next week, right? To see whether if prices were to retrace, can it hold above these 250 temporary support as I mentioned, or if maybe prices today gap down, can it hold above this 240 key support level as well, right? And the other key thing that you want to watch out for would be for this red line to cross firmly above the blue line to know that the longer term trend has also indeed shown signs of strength. Okay, so Cecilia, I hope that helps to give you something to think about ABBV and to formulate your trading plan based on your risk appetite. Okay, yeah. So that's all for ABBV. I'll pass the time back over to Joey to cover the next US stock.
All right, thank you so much on ABBV, right? Good one, Z. Let's move on to the next one, okay? And that would be, let me just go to share my screen. Okay, I think James is asking about this stock, right? Let me just put it out. Okay, good morning, James. I hope you're still over here. Thanks for giving us a bit of context, right? I bought Marvel at $277. Okay, I think it came down a bit. Now it's like $183. Okay, yes, since dropped to 200. In fact, went down a little bit more, right? Okay, can share Marvel trend and whether should I exit out and when you hit the next resistance to cut loss, right? Maybe to get out if you're to rebound to certain levels, right? Okay, so this is Marvel, MRVL, right over here. So I would say that Marvel, I think one of the stocks that we covered also over the past few months, right, since this April, May, whereby you could see that it was not too bad. I mean, previously we really had some 1 GT bullish signals popping out, right? So of course, if you've got in over there, that would be great. That would be very, very strong entries. Not too sure how much has gone up, right? But over the past, 1 month, we got a bearish signal popping up. So, if you have got in earlier, that would be great. All the way from here, all the way to the bearish signal, 190% in about 3 months. Very, very strong, right? 190% in like 3 months, all right? Okay. However, right, you can see that clearly, James, we got a bearish signal actually popping out. So you mentioned you got in at about $277. So I assume maybe you get in over... Maybe over here, I'm not too sure exactly where, but I think this is around the 270, maybe in June, July, like that, right? But actually, it was still okay. It was still okay. It was like hovering above that 250. So 250 was a bit of a support level. You could see, right? We were kind of trading from 250 all the way to 330, like that, right? You can see, right? Up, then down, up, then down. So when you got it over here, actually was still okay, right? It was just hovering above 250. However, you see that when the market weakened, we saw weakness in not just Marvel Tech, but other technology stocks as well in the AI sector. That is where you'll see we actually broke below that 250. Does it make sense, right? So buy right now. Once of course, I'm not too sure exactly what's your position size. Are you buying this for long term? Is it just a small part of your entire big portfolio, or is it a big trading position? All right, I have no idea on that, right? But by right, it is like a kind of like a trading position, all right, whereby you need to be a bit more strict, a bit more disciplined, all right. Then you would want to have a plan to get out, because let's say you bought in at 277, then when you break 250. And then of course we also got a bearish signal, right? Then maybe you could have got out like 248 or 240. I mean, just right there, right? Then you could have saved a bit of money. Of course it started to go even down, right? So that could be what could happen, all right, if you had a plan to get out, right? Depending on your position size, right? Because you got a bearish signal, right? That's one thing, all right? And this bearish signal came out. You can see that not after 1 week or 1 month, it's like after 3-4 months, right? So when we get a bearish signal, I mean, it doesn't mean it's going to crash or like it will confirm go down, no, but it just means that some selling have came back, all right? If we get a bearish signal plus other confirmations, like you see the green line, right? You see the green line, since we got a bearish signal, the green line like flat, then down. Now still down, right? So the short-term trend, unfortunately, is still down. So if you've got out there, good. That would be where you could have saved a bit of money, and now you could be thinking about getting in, correct? But of course, if you never get out, then no choice, then just got to hang in there, and then hopefully you rebound, right? Okay, so back to your next question, right? So when should I exit out? I mean, if you did not exit previously, right? When should you exit? When would be a next resistance to cut loss? Okay, so I would say that right now, it seems like we are nearing this very key support level. So as I say, 250 was a very strong support. We broke it. We got a bearish signal. The short-term trend turned down. Next support would be, I think over here, 150. You can see right over here, right? 150 to 160, right over here. You can see, right? I mean, since like April, May, we were right over here, we were consolidating above it, rebound, right? Hovering above it, and boom, we start to push higher. So on like Wednesday, we kind of like went to a low of around 160. Yeah, so 150 to 160, I think that would be a very key support level. Hopefully, we are just nearing it, only about 2 days, 3 days, right? But hopefully next 1 week, next 2 weeks or 3 weeks, we get a bit more clarity if we could see prices, right, or candlesticks coming out, bullish one, bargain hunting coming out right over here, like we saw from May, April to over here, right? If that holds good, right, I think that would be where it will be confirmations that at least it's no longer just breaking support and going lower and then going lower and lower, right? So that's what we look for as well, right? So in terms of whether should you exit, well, if you have exited previously, good, right? But of course now it has came down, it's very near the support level. So if you kind of like exit over here, all right, then a bit wasted lah. I mean, here's where it's a support market, that's where it's going to like potentially rebound, right? So if you kind of like exit over here, it's a bit wasted lah, right? If you want to exit, you should have exit when you got a bearish signal, correct? So probably not exit near the support, because that's where some bargain hunting could come back, all right? Now, where could you potentially maybe reduce some exposure and exit? Well, that is if we were to rebound, right? Like for example, you can see, right? Down, rebound. Down. I don't know, maybe rebound a little bit, all right? I don't know, maybe like for now, maybe near 200 to 220, all right? Seems like, so this is what we've seen, right? I think somewhere around 215, 220, that would be a little bit of a resistance, all right? So if you could near it, as I say, I have no idea about your position size, the size of the position, but it's like too much of a position, it's too huge, right? You might want to take this opportunity to reduce some exposure, all right? If it nears that 200 to 215, kind of like resistance, or kind of like what we call the sell zones right over here, all right? Sell zones right over here, because that's where sellers can come back to push prices back down again. Does it make sense, Bob? All right, Ken, so that would be kind of like the levels, right? If you're asking when should I exit, I think that is where a resistance is found, like what we've seen over the past 2 weeks. You could think about maybe reducing some exposure if it's a kind of like a huge kind of like position. Okay, so I hope that helps. Normally, we don't want to rush to get in. I think that's what we have shared as well. In order to get back in, all right. Of course, get out is one thing, all right. Get back in again is another thing, right? So doesn't mean you get out means you want to rush to to get in because you're scared that, oh, if I get out, then I never get in. Then what if it rebound all the way? Then see wasted never buy, right? I mean, most people would think that way because you get out already, right? So you want to I want to make sure that you rebound up. I don't want to miss the next rally, right? But you must also think that it can also go down more, correct? So why not let it go down until you cannot go down, then you stabilize, then you get some confirmation, then you get in, Make sense, right? Rather than just just rush to get in because you got out like last week or last month or what, right? No, right? Wait for confirmation, all right? And that's where we want to get back in, right? So what will be confirmations to get in? I think, as I say, we got not one but two bullish signals. If we see it over here, I have no idea when it will come out, but if it comes out, we get other confirmations. Then okay lah, then good lah, right? At least you're buying with a reason lah. Not just because you get out and you just want to buy, no, right? This makes sense, right? So I hope that helps, James, all right? So 150, 160, those will be pretty good supports. Hopefully you hold there. Hopefully the green line stop pointing down. It starts to flatten out around there. I think that would be where we may start to see a bit of a reversal, hopefully. All right, okay? So that is Marvel Tech, MRVL. All right, okay. Let me pass on the mic to Jai to cover the next US stock.
All right, thank you, Joey, for covering Marvel. I think a lot of people are looking at tech companies. So maybe the next counter that I'm covering on will be on this Citigroup. I think, let me just show my screen. Zen, I think, was asking about a look at C, which is a Citigroup. Is it a good time to buy? So financial sector. Maybe let's look at how this company is. So I think for the past few years, with the high interest rate, financials has been doing quite well. I think if you just look back, just zoom out a bit, since 2024, moving averages has been pointing up all the way slow, going up slowly and stably. Short-term wise, there might be some pullback, but most of the time you see that the 100 days and the 200 days are actually going up. And if you zoom in just in 2025, it pulled back in around the April area. Afterwards, start to show more strength, but overall you see that the 100 days and 200 days continue to be sloping outwards, showing long-term strength is still there. After that, it went up close to the $100, break above the resistance, I think just last year, December. And if you zoom in, just recently, you can see that moving averages still remains to be sloping outwards, showing strength. It's just that recently, there's a 1GT bearish signal that appeared, indicating that, like what we mentioned, it doesn't mean that 1GT bearish signal appear means the stock will crash. It means that there's more selling pressure in this counter, and maybe you might want to get out if you have positions in this counter, or if you are looking for entering, maybe it could be a sign that you might want to wait for a 1GT bullish signal to appear so that there's more confirmation. So I think for Citigroup, I think Zen, you are looking at C Citigroup. Is it a good time to buy? It means that you have no positions for this, and where could be a potential entry level, or where could be a good position or level to enter, or what are the resistance level that you want to look at. So I think for Citigroup, if you look at it, I think just this year, prices actually was trading between that 100 to actually that 120 level, about 125. Prices was kept under this level for the first 3 months. Prices actually afterwards broke above this 125 level and went up close to that 135. So we can see that afterwards prices trade within that range of 125 to 135. Afterwards, break up another resistance breakup, went up to that 148 or even 150 resistance level, then came back down to test this 135 support. So if you look at it previously, moving averages are pointing up. 20 days went up sideways, then after that went up again. But I think now slightly different. You can see that prices actually broke below this 135 support level previously, turning into a resistance, and there's a 1GT bearish signal that appeared afterwards. Prices actually is kind of trading in between that 125 support level to that 135 resistance level. So I would say if you're looking at Citigroup wise, if you're looking for more strength and more confirmation, best is to wait for prices to actually break above this 135 level. when go above it, go above it, and that's when you might see that the 20 days moving average might start to flatten and start to point out. And that's when, with all the moving averages pointing up, 1GT bullish signal appear again, there could be more confirmation and more upside that it can break or go back to that 150 resistance, or even break above that 150 resistance level. So I say for Citigroup wise, both the moving averages in terms of the 100 days and 200 days, we look at it long term, is still intact. Currently, it's trading in between these two levels. If you are looking to maybe enter some position and want to nibble when it's cheaper, maybe around that 125, if you want, you can also buy in some. But I would say if you are looking for more confirmation and more upside and you want have more certainty, best is to actually wait for prices to break above this 135, turning into a new support, and that's where it is a new buy zone. And with the next target to be around that 150, you can see that the upside might be around 10% for short-term trading, or for short-term wise, from 135 to 150 is about 10%. I think that's a good profit as well. So if you want, wait for confirmation, wait for prices to break above the 130, 135, moving averages start to point out, 1GT bullish signal appear, that's when you have more confirmation. And if you were to turn on the trailing resistance and trailing support, you can see that the trailing resistance is actually near the 140. So if prices start to show more strength, break above the 135, break above the 140, that's when you might see that the prices might show more strength, go back to the 150, and if it breaks above the 150, there could be even more upside, just towards, maybe if we do a simple projection from the 135 to 150 level, maybe the next target, if it's able to break above the 150, the next target might be around that 165 level, where we might see some selling pressure coming in again. So I would say for Citigroup, overall, the long term has been showing strength. With the short term wise, sometimes weakness, but overall, as long as the long term is still there, still showing strength, I think it's still okay to look at this counter, Citigroup. And I mean, we also actually have a 1GT 7-point checklist, which you also follow, how's the moving averages like, and how's the volume like, and all this. So I think for if you're interested to find out more about how we actually use the 1GT 7-point checklist to guide us in our trading as well, I think you guys can attend the webinar. I think the webinar will be next Tuesday, and it's free of charge. So if you guys are interested to find out more about how we actually use these indicators and also the 7-point checklist to guide us in our trading, I think the link is in the chat. So feel free to just click in the link and register. Just attend a short webinar on a weekday, Tuesday night. Find out more if you're interested. Yep. I think if not, I think this is for Citigroup. Hopefully that gives you a clarity on where you guys can actually potentially look at to enter for this Citigroup. If not, I'll pass on my time to Z to cover the next stock.
All right, thank you, Jia. Okay, so the next stock that I'll be looking at is kind of also in the financial space, but not exactly the same like Citigroup, right? And that's by Koki, right? No position, but looking at PYPL, and that's PayPal, right? So what is a good entry? Okay, so let's take a look at PayPal together, all right? So let me see how many of you guys are here now. About 100 over, yeah, I think 130 over, right? So maybe you guys can also make this a little bit more interesting, interactive for you guys, so that you guys don't just listen passively, right? Maybe you guys can also type and let us know, right? So for PayPal, right? For PayPal, so let me ask you guys a question to help me and Koki out, right? So for PayPal right now, right, let me know what are your thoughts, right, for short-term trend first. Step by step, we do short-term first. What are your thoughts for short-term trend? So short-term trend, what do we look at? We look at the green line, which is the 20 days moving average. Let me know. What are your thoughts? You think it's up, down, sideways, good, no good? Let me know in the chat. Let's see what do you guys think. Okay, Brandon. Brandon, short-term up. Ben, short-term also up. Okay, short-term songs uptrend. Okay, short-term uptrend. Okay, all three of you say up. I believe the rest of you AR also says up, right? So very clearly, green line pointing up. I hope nobody say green line pointing down. If not, your color may be a bit wrong for the moving average. Okay, so then we take a look at the longer term trend, right? The longer term trend, the red and the blue line. Maybe this one, some of you guys might have a bit of differing opinion already. So let us take a look, right? Let's take a look at the longer term trend, which is the red and the blue moving average. What do you guys think of the longer term trend? Let me know your thoughts, right? I would think that this one, some of you guys might say up, some of you guys might say down. Yeah, let me know. What do you guys think of the longer term trend? The red line and the blue line, right? Red line is 100 days moving average. Blue line is the 200 days moving average. Red up, blue down. One up, one down by Ben. Yeah, correct. Julie Baking Lab says down. Geneva says down. Okay. So yeah, like I've expected, I think some of you guys would maybe break things down a little, depending on whether you look at it as a whole or you look at it separately, right? Like for example, like Nikki says long-term red moving up, long-term blue still down. Very detailed. Blue down, red going up. Right, Ben says 100 still below 200. Correct. So the red is still below the blue right? I think all of you are correct, right? All of you are right. So let's take a deeper dive into this together, right? So we all know that short term up green is up. Longer term, there is still some question mark, right? Because agreeing to what Ben mentioned, blue still down, right? And the red is still below the blue, right? 100 is still below the 200 correct? But but we are showing positive sign that this red line is starting to show signs of it pointing up, right? There's still signs of it starting to point up for the red line, which is good signs for the longer term trend, right? Good sign, right? And I've also turned on the signal already, right? So you guys can see the signal I already turned on already. Here, buy and sell, everything is turned on, right? So you guys can also see that, right now, we actually have two 1GT bullish signal coming out, right? So when we have two 1GT bullish signal coming out, right, the thing is that it gives us additional layer of confirmation that, I think buying pressure has returned, right? Not just one, but two, right? And on top of that, we don't just look at the signals on its own, right? Remember, that's what we always say. We don't see that, if there's a bullish signal, immediately I buy. Bullish signal, immediately I buy. No, it's not like that. We want to take a look at other things as well. And the next thing that I want you guys to focus on, right, would be the support level. Why? Because again, I always mention support level is where buyers are coming in to support the prices. If that support level is broken, then not so good. So if along the way you start to find that support levels, right, get higher and higher, it is another good sign that buyers are willing to buy at more expensive prices, which is good, right? So in this case for PayPal, right, let's take a look at it. Right, over the past month, since February of 2026, right, to quite recently, July, you can see that it was kind of like just here. Oh, sorry, do the wrong tool. Here. Okay, here up and down within this range, about $40 to about 52, right? $40 around that support level. 52 was actually the resistance that it was kept below, right? This 52, right? This was a resistance very clearly, because here you can see that it break down. It get down quite a bit after the earnings, right? And then here, somewhere in April, attempted to break this 52 but cannot break, right? 1GT bearish signal came out. Second one came out, pushed price down even lower, support at $40, and then rebounded back up, right? So these two bearish signal actually came out, and then after that, subsequently, 1GT bullish signal came out right here, right? And you can see that the 20 days moving average has started to point up already, showing some strength in terms of the short term, right? And now this 52, right, has turned to become what? A support, right? Previously was a resistance for so many months. Now it has become a support level, right? But over the past couple of weeks, let me zoom in a bit more, right? Over the past couple of weeks, can you guys see that over here, right? Potentially we could be seeing a new higher support level. right over here around maybe the 50, 55. Yeah, around this 55. Can you see that right here, right? Prices over the past 2 weeks has been consolidating around this 50, 55 level, right? Buyers are willing to step in to buy at that level, right? So potentially this could be a new higher support beyond the 52, right? That could be, right? That could be. If prices come back over the next week, right? Come back here, come back, retrace and retest this 55, rebounded. The more it retests this 55, the more weight definitely you want to give towards it as well. Because the more times it retested, the more times it never break, the more times it means that the buyers are willing to buy at 55, right? Buy definitely more expensive prices lah. Okay, and then that would be the support, right? The support. So 52, is it valid? Yes, definitely it is a support level. 55, I would say that definitely is something that we want to watch for, whether can this new higher support level holds lah. Okay, and then of course the next thing is you want to know where's the resistance because if you buy already, then you need to know potentially where you want to take profits, where you want to sell, what's your trading plan, right? So based on this, right, previous price action, you can see I think around, I've drawn my resistance, right, around this 65. Can you see this 65 here, right? Back, when was this? 2025 July all the way to November, broke down, right? 65 was a support, turned to a resistance, broke down, then here attempted to rebound back up lah, but didn't manage to break above the 65. Went down even lower, right? So I would say that 65 would be the upside target that one could be looking at, especially if you are thinking of, formulating a trading plan for PayPal lah, right? So the who is this? Let me pull out the comment again. Cocky, right? Cocky, no position, but looking at PayPal. So what's a good entry? So again, when we think about buying, right, we always think about buying near support zones, right? But like what you guys have mentioned right at the start as well, the longer term trend at this point in time, I would say that it is not ideal yet, because we always want to buy in a longer term uptrend plus a shorter term uptrend plus 1 GT bullish signal come out. That probability of you being on the right side of the trend is much higher, right? Right now, not there yet, right? But we are definitely showing some positive signs of it heading towards that direction, right? So if you do decide to actually, enter earlier before all the confirmation actually come out, not say cannot, can, but make sure to have a plan in place whereby if you do decide, for example, trading plan, maybe you enter near the support, then make sure to think about your downside, your stop loss. Where are you intending to place your stop loss? Below the 55 support, below the 52 support, because both are valid, right? Both are valid, but that would depend on your risk appetite, because I also don't know what's your risk appetite, and also whether your position sizing, how big you want to buy this position, right? And of course, then your target, right? Target maybe near a resistance around the 65 sell zone, right? Whereby resistance zone usually is what we call like a sell zone, right? So based on this, you also got to see whether, does the risk to reward ratio is something that is meaningful to you and is something that you are able to accept, right? So that's the thing, right? It is, I don't have a one size fit all for everybody, right? Because again, end of the day, everybody's risk appetite is very different. But what we can see based on this is based on the support and resistance and your own risk appetite, right, to formulate your trading plan. Okay, so Cocky, I hope that gives you something to think about, right? And also like in terms of the levels, right, that you can potentially look at to think about positioning yourself for entry if you would like to, right? Based on the support as mentioned around the 55, 52 is also a valid support, and the resistance upside target that we are looking at, whereby potentially some selling pressure could return, would be around the 65 based on what we have seen previously back over here. Okay, so Cocky, I hope that gives you some information, right, about PayPal, and to set some price alerts for it as well. Okay, so that would be for PayPal. I will pass my time back over to Joey to cover the next US stock.
All right, thank you so much, Z. Let's move on to the next one. Okay, I think we have gone on for like about, I think we've covered like 6 stocks already, right? So let's move on very quickly. Let's see what's the next stock. Okay. This would be asked by INCY, right? I was just looking at this stock. Not too bad. All right, not too bad. Let's take a look and analyze it. Let's see what INCY. I hope you're still over here, right? INCY. I think the name is INCY Corporation, right? The code is INCY. You bought at 114. Not too bad. 114 now is about 122 like that. Okay, good. Rallied to 130, but after 2 consecutive days of decline, yeah, indeed, Wednesday, Thursday come down a bit. What is the next major support level? Okay, very good. So let's take a look at this stock right over here. Well, I think this stock is one stock that I think all of you want to put in your watch list. Okay, so you can see that, guys, I really turned on the bullish and bearish signals, turn it off, nothing, right? Blur, don't know how to see, right? But once you turn it on, any stock, right, in seconds, pump, right? I would say this stock is a stock whereby it's not too bad, right? So thanks for alerting me to this stock as well. I will have actually write down already, put in my watch list. I think it's definitely one of those stocks whereby we are seeing strength right now. Let me show you why. Because in fact, since like last year, I mean, of course, we got some bearish red color signal February, March last year. But then when bullish signals appear, pump, all the way up, right? Very strong recovery, very strong reversal. The trend turned up. We got bullish signals supporting that move up, right? But then, right, when we get bearish red color signals, then just wait first, don't buy, right? Get out, take some profit. Look at this, right? I mean, from the very first signal in May last year all the way to the bearish signal, 53%. Okay, ma? Right? 53% in like 8 months, right? Not too bad, right? Get out, right? And maybe to get back in again, right? So I mean, we've been talking about some stocks, like just now I covered on like Marvel, all right, whereby even MU, whereby we want to wait for confirmations to get back in, right? We're not out of the woods. The weakness is still here in the short term, right? I talk about support levels, right? So what are we waiting for there? Here, right? So in this case, I thought, this is a very good example. What are we waiting for? Waiting for, after the red color one, you wait for green 1GT bullish signals to get triggered again, all right? But doesn't mean get triggered means you buy also, but once it gets triggered, and then you see the green short-term trend, the green line that was like pointing down for the stocks that I covered just now, right? Weak ma, right? In the short term, not so good, right? Once it flatten out, or maybe point up a bit, that is where it could be a very good confirmation that we are starting to see strength. Buyers are prepared to move it even higher. Right, and that's where I think not too bad, right? I think for this stock, we have seen a very good recovery there. I mean, of course, it's gone up a bit higher already, right? Now it's like 122, right? Of course, when the bullish signals came out, it was like about $100. Okay, so it really went up a bit, but doesn't matter. I mean, went up by 20-30%, okay, but doesn't matter. Doesn't mean cannot go up some more, right? There could still be more upside, right? So let's take a look right now at INCY's question, right? What is the next major support level? I mean, basically, you got in. Is it looking good? Should you rush to get out and then you think that you will go all the way down? Or should you be a bit more patient? Maybe you can go up some more and you can make more profits, right? So I think you are sitting on profits, so it's so very good, but could there be more profits, right? So you got in at 114. So not too bad, you got in right over here. Move up a bit. Could there be even more upside? So let's take a look at this stock. So I would say that not too bad because we have actually broken this 110. Very key resistance level, I would say, right? Look at this. This 110, we touch for the past like 9 months, 10 months. Every time we touch, we always come down. I also don't know why. Just keep on coming down, come down, all right? But on the 26th of June, right, which is like 1 month ago, we finally never come down, right? We finally go above it. Right, and that's a sign of strength because we got bullish signals previously. We went above it, we stayed above it, and it became what we call a new support level. So 110 will be what we call a new support level. But over the past like 2 to 3 weeks, not even 110. In fact, so let me just turn this red line to a green line. So 110 would be a new support level. We actually held above from 110 all the way to 120 lah, right? You can see, right? So we broke to 110 and then we started to rest like 3 weeks. Right? So I think maybe you got in around here. Not too bad, right? So 110 was a good support. You got in over here. And up, then down, then up, then consolidate, then boom. Finally, we broke the 120. So 120 resistance would now potentially be what we call a new support level, right away. So I would say for this company, not too bad, right? I mean, we've seen a bit of rally, all right? Now maybe some profit taking near 130. So you might see like 2 days of it coming down, and then you might freaked out already and stuff, right? But I think it's fine. I mean, it's just a normal profit taking, right? Away, or as it approaches that 130 resistance. But so far, as long as the 120, all right? So I hope that helps, right? As long as the 120 support level, like your question, what is the next major support level? 120, right? 120 would be the next support level. Of course, 110 would be the much stronger. All right, because 110, as I say, we have been trading below it, touched many times, came down, all right? since October last year. So 110 is a very, very major one now. But 120 is the not so major, but is the nearest, I would say, the what we've seen over the past 1 month, a potential resistance turn support level. So not even 110. I think if 120 holds, all right, if 120 holds, that is potentially where we could see some bargain hunting coming out again. All right, Ken. So I hope that helps. I think this stock still looks quite okay. We got bullish signals playing out. Now a bit of a pullback from 130 resistance. I'm not surprised if we break 130. All right, the next phase of upside could continue. Targets could be even all the way to 150 and higher. Right? I mean, I'm not too sure exactly how these bullish signals will play out, but you can look at it previously, right? When we get bullish signals last year in June, July, October, right? There we go, right? 50, 60%, right? So now only got 1, 2. Previously got 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Right now only got 2, right? Another one come out even better, right? That's where I think you could continue riding it. Of course, with a plan, right? Your plan, if you see a red color bearish signal, then please don't hold all the way down, Make sense? All right, Ken? So that would be for INCY Corporation, INCY. Still looks good above the 120. Potential new nearest support level. Okay, Ken? So, yep, I think that would be INCY Corporation. So as I say, guys, I mean, we do have time to explain the whole strategy today, all right? But if you want to find a bit more about how we have a tool like this, just to keep it simple, we could just, as I say, right, turn on the bullish and bearish signals, pump, disappear, pump on, all right? Attend a free webinar. That's where you can find a bit more next Tuesday, 4th of August, 7:30 p.m. The link is right in the chat again. Just want to do a shout out in case some of you may have just joined us. All right, Ken? I look forward to share more with you about the entire One Good Trend strategy and how potentially this tool can help you as well make more informed decisions, more systematic, right? Without second guessing, without overthinking, without chasing as well. Cool. All right. So let me pass on the mic to Jai to cover the next US stock. Jai, yours.
All right. Thank you, Joey. So the next stock that I'll be covering on is actually AMD. I think there's a few 2% asking about AMD. Just give me a sec. Let me just find the thing. Follow asking AMD. When should I enter? Now or wait? And I think Ju Hyang bought AMD at an average cost price of 220. Looking to add more. What is a good entry price? So I think that's a great mindset that Ju Hyung have. Because you already have an AMD and overall strength is there, and you're looking to even add more. So I think that's the mindset you also want to have. That we also bring across. It's okay to actually buy into strength. So I think some of you guys, maybe you have the mindset of like, if the price is cheap, you want to buy because it's cheap, but then it might get even cheaper. So I think it's a good mindset that we actually want to add in more into stocks that are actually showing strength. So I think for AMD wise, let me just hide the trailing support and resistance. Okay, I think for AMD, if you to look at it, I think just last year, I think this counter was actually quite quiet. It was kind of trading between that 100 to 200, 200 to about 270 range. I think since last year, October, you see that actually the price of this counter was kind of moving sideways for October until actually this year, April. So only just this year, April, AMD actually broke above this 270 key resistance level. And you see that afterwards, with 2 1GT bullish signal that appeared, it started to show more strength and went up even higher. So this is what we call actually a breakout strategy, when prices break above a key resistance level, there could be potential of more upside for this counter. So I think Ju Hyung, you bought it around 220. I think not sure if you saw it when there was a first 1GT bullish signal that appeared, because it was around at 220 as well. But if you look at it since that first 1GT bullish signal until maybe yesterday, if you're still holding, you're actually up 110%. Actually, that's quite a lot. I think quite decent as well. So, I mean, if you're looking to enter more, what could be a good entry price? So let me just hide the comments. Okay, so I think after it broke out above this 270, you can see that it went up after the earnings just, I think, this year around May. It gapped up even more. 400 was a new key support level. Then we see prices actually came to test this level, and afterwards went up even higher. So for the past, I think this year, May until around end July, just recently, prices has been kept under this 560 level. You can see that prices came close to this level. Sellers actually came in to push the price back down, went up again, actually tested this level quite a few times. So we can see that actually this 560 level actually is quite a key resistance where we always see sellers coming in to take some profit. So, I mean, for AMD wise, recently, if you look at it, there was some short-term weakness. 20 days moving average actually started to point downwards, but it's back to that 450 support level. So it's kind of testing this 450 support level. There's a 1 GT bullish signal that appeared recently because it actually broke close below that 450. But just yesterday, we see that it's actually staying above this 450 level. So actually, if you're looking to enter for AMD wise, I would say if you were to turn on this trailing and support and resistance, if prices break above this, I think 560 level, you can see that actually there will be a 1 GT bullish signal that will appear. And this could be a new support level. And that could be a new buy zone that you guys can look at to enter for this AMD, maybe with upside towards that 650 or even that 700 psychological resistance level. So I would say if prices start to show more strength, first thing is break above that 560 level. That could be a potential entry level that you guys can look at to enter for AMD with the target to be around that 700. And by then, you can see that the moving averages wise, obviously by then, 100 days, 200 days will continue to slope upwards. 20 days will actually start to flatten and point upwards. 1 GT bullish signal will appear. So by then, if you are more aggressive and you want to try for a breakout strategy when prices break above that 560, that could be a potential entry level. If you're looking for more confirmation and more strength. But if you are like Ju Hyung, if you already have AMD, which is around that average cost price of 220, if you are looking for averaging up, I mean near a support level, you can always think of adding more if you're looking at adding on more exposure to this AMD. But of course, I'm not sure how much positions you have and whether you did any position sizing. But of course, if you look at it, I would say 450 might be a potential area or zone that you can look at to actually enter as well. So this level might be a potential support level where you guys can potentially look at to enter for some AMD as well. But if you're looking for more of like a trading and more confirmation, if prices break above that 560, that's when the first 1 GT bullish signal will appear and moving averages are pointing up. That's where you have more confirmation. But if you're looking to average up, like Ju Hyung already has some exposure and looking to add on more positions, I think 450, or if prices even go back to that 400 level, where that's the 100 days moving average, and that's where a key support level that we previously identified, that could be a potential entry price to add in more exposure for your AMD. Yep. So I think that's for AMD. Hopefully, that answers your question on where could be a potential entry level to actually average up more, or where could be another potential entry level for a new entry lah. Yep. So I think that's for AMD. If not, I'll pass on my time to Z to cover the next stock.
All right. Hi. Thanks, Jiayi. Okay. The next stock that I have here, right, I think it's not very, I think same in the technology sector, but then it is a bit different. AMD that Jiayi covered is a bit more of the hardware, right? And then over here, this by Kunaf is a bit more on the software tech, right? Because it's Oracle Corporation. But before I dive into this, I'll just do a very quick recap of what we have covered earlier on, okay? So Joey started off with the market update, S&P 500, as well as the Dow Jones Index. And the very first stock that he covered today was Micron, right? Then Jiayi actually covered Google, GOOGL, and then I covered ABBV as the first stock, right? And then we did a round robin style, and then Joey covered Marvel, MRVL, followed by Citigroup, then PayPal, INCY Corporation, INCY, and then Jiayi just covered AMD, right? And now I'm covering Oracle, and that would be the 9th stock for today. Okay, so let's dive right into Oracle, right? Kunaf. Kunaf very direct and straight to the point. I bought Oracle at 195. Now hold or add more? Okay, let's take a look at Oracle right now. Right, so Oracle, as you guys can see, right? Definitely this one I would say is in a downtrend, right? Because why? The green is down, red is down, blue is down. We got 1 GT bearish signal as well. Not one, but two, right? And overall, when you see something like that, you bought at 195. So yesterday price closed at 127. Definitely sitting on losses, right? Because 195 to 127, let's see, 195 over here to 127, sitting on about 35% loss, right? I'm not too sure how big of a position you bought, but I hope you have a plan in place whereby if the price go down some more, what are you going to do? Because if your thinking is if it goes down some more, you want to buy some more. Go down some more, you want to buy some more. And the only reason you are buying is because you want to average down your cost price, right? Usually, we would refrain from doing that because you would not know how low the price can go, right? You can see that my chart over here, right? Wow, so many red line. What does that tell you? It tells you that the price keep breaking support, break support, break support, break support, and all these green line turn to become a red line, right? It is not good, right? Because it just tells us that there is more bears, for this particular stock. The bears are in control, right? That is why the selling pressure is so strong. And right now, are we kind of like seeing the same thing? I mean, you can see my lines are still the same, right? My lines are all this over here, which previously was a support at some point in time, right? But then subsequently it turned to become a resistance, right? And right now, as of last night, price closed at 127.56, right? Right over here. Is the green line still down? Yes. Is the red line pointing up? Not exactly. You can see that it flattened out, right? Actually, from April to May, flatten out. What? But after that, July onwards, it started to show some signs of it sloping down again. Blue line confirmed still pointing down, right? So overall, in terms of the trend wise, it is already not ideal in a sense whereby we don't want to be thinking on the side whereby, hey, I should buy more. I should buy now, right? Because is in the downtrend now. Why you want to buy a stock that is in a downtrend? We only want to buy, like what Jia Yi mentioned early on, we only want to buy into strength. We only want to buy into a stock that is in an uptrending, right? Then that is where you get a higher probability winning trade, right? But in this case, perhaps not yet, right? And Kunaf, you mentioned that you bought Oracle at 195. I'm not too sure where you actually bought at 195 because when I look at this, there could be multiple entry points at 195 for you, but I'm not too sure where, right? Maybe you can let me know, right? Hopefully, I hope that it's not somewhere here. Why? It's because if you bought somewhere here at 195, we already got 1 GD bearish signal. 20 days already pointing out. Red line also starting to point out, right? So also not very ideal when you are thinking about buying at that point in time, right? Because we want to buy in an uptrend, right? And here, I also want to highlight this thing right over here. Can you see that somewhere in February, right? The red actually crossed below the blue. And that tells us that the longer term has started to turn down as well, because now we are totally in the opposite, blue, red, green. By right, what we want is green, red, blue, but now opposite, right? So also not ideal, right? And if you say, okay, so going back to buying at 195, so here, if perhaps you might have bought at 195 here, I would say, okay, but have a plan, right? That is the reason why we always say have a plan. Because if you have bought here, perhaps because you have seen bullish signal coming out, 20 days moving average, short-term strength coming back in. Great, right? That's good. Not saying it's not good. Short-term, great. But longer-term, do we have that confirmation yet? Not exactly. At least it's pointing sideways, right? And this short-term strength give rise to, prices heading up to the resistance again around 220. Then confirm now, when price is at 127 yesterday, at some point in time, you were in the green. Confirm you'll be very sian, that time never take profit. Should have taken profits. Now from wins, right, become losses, right? So that's the reason why we are saying that if, let's say, the longer term trend is not pointing up yet, if you want to enter based on a short-term strength, can, but make sure to have a plan in place because there could be situations like that whereby it was in the green, become a loss, right? And then now, this is where we are at, right? Because you are still, I assume that you are still holding on to Oracle. That is why the question come about. Should you continue holding or should you add more? And based on what you know about us and our Joey's 1GD framework, right? definitely we don't advise adding more because the stock is in a downtrend, and we don't advise adding more because if you are only adding more because you want to average down, right, lower your cost price, and you have no other conviction in this stock, right, and that's the only reason you are buying because it's cheap, right, then usually we don't advise on that lah, right? Okay, so right now, based on this, you can see that the immediate resistance, right, that I've drawn, right, is somewhere around 139.50 to about 140 right over here, right? Can you see this red color box that I've drawn right here? This used to be a support level. You can see from February 2026 all the way to May, right? Oh, sorry, April, middle of April. This was actually a support level, right? And here, about 1 week, it was also a support, right, in the start of July. But then eventually break the support again. Bears take control again. Selling pressure came in, push price back down. Another 1 GT bearish signal came out, right? So not ideal. And that is now turned to become what we call resistance, right? So if you are thinking of, letting go some position, reducing some exposure, especially when the stock is in a downtrend, you can also look towards resistance to actually let go some position, right? Not saying that you become a gain or what. It is, you are trying to minimize your loss, but the whole intention is to reduce exposure because the stock is in a downtrend, and we don't want to hold on to a losing position, by having the unrealized P&L getting larger and larger just because we don't take any action. All right, so that could be one of the resistance zones that you could be looking at, perhaps to reduce some exposure, especially so you can see that perhaps we might have some short-term strength returning again based on yesterday candlestick, right? And if it hit back towards, the resistance zone, is it okay to reduce some exposure? I think that is fine, right? That's fine, especially when we know that the longer-term trend, right, has been solidified because of this red cross below the blue. Green is also pointing down. Everything is pointing down, right? But what about support level, right? If you say, okay, maybe I want to give you a bit more chance, right? Support level. You can see my support level, I've drawn at 100. Number one is because $100 is a psychological level. And number two, if you were to look back, you can see back here, this is very long already. 2023, 2024, you can see that this level, right, this $100, right? Let me just zoom in. You can see that this $100 previously, it is like a support level that buyers came in multiple times, right, to push the price back up. Always $100 rebound, near $100 rebound, $100 rebound, right? So that is the reason why I put the next support, psychological support, at that $100 level, right? So definitely here would be what we call like a support zone. So Kunal, I'm not too sure what's your position sizing as well, how big of a position you buy, but the thing is that if you give it a bit more chance and you say, okay, you want to hold and see whether price can actually head back up, right? And if it continues to head down, definitely you've got to draw a line in the sand as well, right? Because like I've mentioned, we don't want to be holding on to a position whereby we are already in losses, and you continue to hold on to it without taking any action. It can go lower and lower and lower and lower, right? And that's when your unrealized losses get so big to a point whereby, after that you look back, you don't know what to do, right? So $100, I would say that if price were to break this $100 psychological level, buyers don't return, right, and it hits even lower, I think that's where definitely you will see even more weakness and downside towards this particular counter, right? Because you can see right over here, right, you can see, maybe let me just draw this, right, 20 days, okay, right here, right, 20 days moving average was down, long-term trend started to show weakness, head down. Can the same thing actually happen in this manner? It could not. I'm not saying that it will exactly happen the same, like how it moves like that, but can it still happen? It could, right? Because 20 days is down, and now the longer term, both are also pointing down, and blue is actually above the red. Back then, you can see, the red is still above the blue, but now, different story, right? The blue is actually above the red, and everything is actually pointing down. Okay, so Kunal, I hope you're still here, and that gives you something to think about in terms of like your risk management plan. Like, what's your risk management plan, right? Especially so in terms of like reducing exposure so that your unrealized losses doesn't get wider and wider if you decide, rather than not doing anything at all. Okay, so that would be for Oracle, but I do hope that you have the 1 GT bullish and bearish signals, that you are able to own self open and take a look, right? But for those of the rest of you who are here, right, 112 of you who are here, if you would like to also, maybe on your trading view to have these signals, right? I think Joey has also this 1GT indicator light throughout, right? Free for 14 days. I think you guys, if you guys are keen, you guys want to find out more, test drive this 1GT light indicator, you guys can also do that, right? But before you test drive, I think like what Joey and Jia you also mentioned earlier on, right? Maybe you turn on the signal, you only see a buy and sell, you don't really exactly know what's the rationale behind this, right? And also what are some of the key steps or key factors or checklists that we want to take a look for, right, on top of all of these signals, then you can also attend the webinar. So at least you go hand in hand, you test drive the 1GT light indicator, and also you know how does this entire 1GT framework works. Okay, so the webinar is next week, next Tuesday. 1GT light draw is free, test drive it, and then that's all from me for Oracle, right? So I will pass the time back over to Joey so that he can actually cover the next US stock.
All right, thank you so much, Z. Yeah, so very good. I think Z mentioned about this one good trend light indicator that we have as well. So I mean, what we're using right now is the pro, right? The professional, the pro indicator, right? But that one, as I say, you want to find a bit more, you can attend the free webinar next Tuesday. But we do have a light version. It's a simpler version. You can turn on the bullish and bearish signals, the moving averages, but of course it doesn't have all the advanced stuff lah. All right, but it's good enough, right? It's good enough to give you a very quick, simple opinion based on turning on and off the green bullish signals or even the red bearish signals. So the link is right in the chat. Go to click on it. All right, try it out, test drive it. There's more than $3,000 worth of training for free just for testing it out. We're giving it to you for free lah. Also, the link is right in the chat. Okay, okay. Now, very quickly, let me move on to the next stock. All right, and that will be asked by Zen. All right, thanks so much for joining us, Zen, and give us a bit of context. Zen Low. Okay, Hood. HOOD, the name would be Robin Hood Markets. All right. You got it at $84. $84. Wondering, should I get more? Okay, so you bought already lah. Okay, now what price? Now 86 lah. Okay, now 86. Okay, still make a bit lah. Still make a bit. Okay, 84 now $86. So should you get more? Right? Should you get more? Maybe it's going to rebound, right? Or maybe you should be patient. Then don't rush because maybe it can go down some more, right? Let's find out. Or maybe those that you have, you should also think about getting out. Right, not just think about getting more, but maybe what you have now, it also should sell and get out because maybe it can go down lower. That's what we can explore as well. Right? Okay. Now let's take a look at Hood right over here. So you can see that I really turned on the moving averages, the green line. The red and blue line give us a bit of an idea of the longer term trend. So I'll say the longer term trend, the red and blue, a little bit down, a little bit sideways, not very clear lah. Not very clear. I mean, compared to the other stock, right? Shown just now, very nice longer term uptrend, right? That would be for Hood. I would say short term trend. Look at the green line. It was like down. December, January this year down. All right, May flat a bit, right? Starting to point up in May, June, but now I would say like past 1 week, like pointing down a bit lah. So the short term trend is kind of like pointing down already. Okay, a bit weaker. Okay, so that would be the longer term trend, a bit sideways, maybe down a bit. Short term trend also pointing down. Okay, should you buy more? So we got two things a bit not so good already lah. Two things a bit not so good, a bit down already. Okay, Ken. So let's find out whether should you get in more. I mean, let's turn on the signals lah. Let's take a look. All right. The first box right over here. As I say, this is what we're doing. Any stock, any market, whatever you want, you type in, you turn on yourself, you own self see. Same. All right. Okay, let's turn on. Pump. So I would say for Hood, I mean, okay, previously we also got some bearish, not so good. I think that was like in October last year. Not too bad. Last year was quite okay. Some got bullish, pump. So you see green one and then happy lah. But let's take a look at what has happened over the past few weeks. Well, in May, we actually got a bullish signal to see a bit of upside, but I think you want to be a bit more careful lah, because like Tuesday, all right, we kind of like broke down. I mean, we kind of like triggered a 1GT bearish signal. So remember, short-term trend down, we got a new bearish signal popping out as well. You want to be a bit more careful. So take a look at this level. I think this level is quite important because look at this, right? I think, right over here, $90. Look at this, right? So let me show you what I mean. I think it's quite important. Okay, the next video will be very important. You might really not just think about buying more, but maybe the one that you have now, because we got bearish signal already, right? So not about just rushing in and buy, but your mindset should be, hey, now I have, I mean, hopefully can make some money, right? Should I think about getting out and protect the profits and rather than in, but it's more like out, because we got bearish signal already, right? The short-term trend is down already, right? And also, if you look at it, this level, right over here, it was a bit of a resistance, right? We broke down the support. We were near here, we come down, we near here, we come down, right? So it's a very clear resistance turn support level right over here. The 92, 92, 93, I can see right over here, right? So resistance turn support. And in fact, right, we went up, we retested the support, went up to like 120. So 120 would be what we call a resistance level. So by right, as I say, normally what we advise is that nothing wrong, even though it's a very strong uptrend, right? But once, we see a bit of like selling at a resistance level, a level whereby every time you go there, we touch, come down, right? You could have also taken some profit right over here. Right? You can see that was where we neared it previously and we sold off as well. So if you have got out there, great, right? But never mind, okay? One thing I want to share with you right now is that you can see that over the past 2-3 days, well, we have gone below that 92 support level. Let me show you, right? I mean, you can see, right? We kind of like went below the 92 level, right? Even below 90 also, right? So that is another sign of weakness because I mean, previously we were right here rebound, right? But how come the past 3 days cannot take it, right? We went below it, right? So it's a bit weaker already, right? So got bearish signal, the short-term trend also down. We also went below the 92, support level, all right? So what could be the downside? Well, downside, I'm not saying you will confirm go there, but anything below 92 or 90, we could potentially hit to the next support level, right? And what will be the next support level? Well, it could be anything from like, 80 was where we got held above it for like about 2 weeks previously in like June, all right? After 80, then maybe to that 65, 70, I mean, that was where we were holding quite well from February to April as well. So that could be what we call a bit of a downside move. As I said, I'm not saying that it will surely go down, but it just looks a little bit weaker right now, all right? Below that 92 or $90, right? Because we've got a bearish signal, the short-term trend has turned down over the past few days. We have broken the support level. It just seems to be a bit weaker. So wondering, so back to your question, right, Zen, should I get more? So as I say, normally we don't want to get in like when we see a bearish signal. Like for example, you see, previously we got a bearish signal, then you get in, then you get another bearish signal, then you get in, then you get stuck. Does it make sense, right? So we try not to get in when we get a bearish signal because it's weak, all right? But now it's not just bearish signal, like bearish signal plus a few other things that say not so good. Make sense, right? So why don't you get in? Right? I mean, please don't tell me it's cheap, though, right? But of course, it's cheaper than last week, but that should not be the reason, right? We should get in only when we get confirmation that it's reversing back up. That's why we get in. Does it make sense, right? So we try not to get in when we get a bearish signal. In fact, we should think about getting out, all right, to take some profit, to secure our profits, all right, to maybe reduce our losses, all right, if we do see a bearish signal. Like I think the stocks that I covered previously, like Marvel, right, we got a bearish signal and then it starts going down even lower, right? So that should be the mentality, not about getting in more, but about maybe reducing some exposure, all right, taking some profit, get out, wait for stability before really thinking about getting in again. So I think that would be, as I say, $80 would be the next support. After 80 could be 65 to 70. And those could be zones you could think about, but not anyhow. Doesn't mean go there means anyhow buy also, But go there, stabilize, get other confirmations, and then maybe get back in again, right? If you have got out first, right? But if you just hold all the way down, I can tell you when you reach there also, you probably don't want to get in again, right? So think about maybe reducing some exposure or get out rather than to get in more, especially if we continue to stay below 92 to 90 over the next few days, or maybe up to next week. Does it make sense, All right, Zen. So I hope that helps, Zen. All right, that would be for Robinhood. The code is HOOD. Let me pass on the mic to Jai to cover the next US stock.
All right. So, thank you, Joey. So the next stock I'll be covering on will be actually on Meta. I think all of you guys should be quite familiar with this company, this name as well. One of the Magnificent Seven. I think Han Zhong was asking about have some position in Meta around 537, wondering whether is it time to add. And I think Bakshi, I think was asking about whether it can cover Meta as well. So I think no, I'm not too sure whether Bakshi you are actually having some position or whether you are looking to enter, but not to worry, I'll cover that as well. And I think Han Zhong, I saw that you say you bought or you have some position around 537. So not too sure whether you bought it just recently, just yesterday, previously, or is it long time back in 2024 or 2025. So hopefully it was back. I'm not too sure if it's back then you could have taken some profit or you already have taken some profit along the way. Yeah, but maybe let me just cover on Meta. So I think if you were to look at Meta, I think since last year or I think since 2024 actually it showed a lot of strength. Long term has been showing uptrend, but just last year, I mean, if we look at it, think moving averages all pointing up for the long term wise, but when it hit the high of about 800, I think just in September last year, you can see that prices couldn't break above these, started to show some weakness in terms of the 20 days moving average, start to come down, break below support around that 700 psychological support level, and afterwards start to show more weakness. And if you were to turn on that 1GT buy and sell signal, I think if you look at it just recently, there's two 1GT bearish signal that appear for this Meta, indicating that short term or there's more selling pressure in this Meta counter. And I think if you look at it, previously it broke below this 700 psychological support. There was a 1GT bearish signal that appeared. I think it's due to earnings. It actually gapped down. Prices came down close to that 600 psychological support level, came to test this level, went up, broke above 700 but couldn't stay above. Then afterwards, you see that prices was kind of trading between the 600 to 700 range. And when it broke below that 600, it actually came close to that 525 level. So back then, moving averages was all pointing up, but then afterwards, when it broke below the 700 psychological support level, you can see that first thing is the 20 days moving average started to point down. This thing, 20 days, the green line started to point down. The 100 days started to flatten and also start to point down. And just, I think, start of this year, you see that the 200 days and the 100 days actually cross over. The 100 days crossed below the 200 days, started to show more weakness. And now, if you were to look at it, just recently, we can see that all of you guys, I believe, agree that the long-term wise is showing weakness. Both the 100 days and the 200 days moving averages are pointing down. So just recently, if you zoom at it, it actually broke below that 600 psychological level again. First thing is 1GT bearish signal appeared. And I think just the day before earnings came out, it broke below the 600, couldn't stay above it. Earnings was not very good. And it came close to that 525 level or even at 520 level support level. So I would say if you're looking at Meta now, if you're looking to even enter for Meta, best is actually not to enter because moving averages long term is showing weakness. And if you were to look at the 20 days moving average, I think after the gap down, it's actually pointing sharply downwards. So all three moving averages are actually pointing downwards now with two 1GT bearish signal. I think with that, it's already giving you some like a signal that this counter might be showing quite a lot of weakness. And if you to look at it, $600 is actually now a psychological resistance level with the current support or immediate support to be around that 520 level. So if you were to look at it, prices came down to that 520 in March this year, but managed to stay above it. But we wouldn't know whether Meta for now, after showing more weakness, whether this 520 level can be supported. And if it's not able to stay above this, and if you see that prices start to break below this level, first thing is if you start to break below this level, it could be an indication that there might be more weakness towards that 500 psychological level. Or if you were to zoom out, I think back in last year April, the low was around that 480 level. So if you were to look at Meta, long-term wise, it's already showing weakness, 21 GT bearish signal, and it's currently near this 520 key support level. So that's something that no, we actually wouldn't want to enter, because if with all this confirmation or all these signals that is showing weakness, there could be sign that if it breaks below this 520, it can even go down to 480 or even 450 level. So we wouldn't know where might be the next support that it might goes to. So I think for Meta wise, if you have some position previously, I think Hanzhong, you bought it around 537. It's currently near this price, so I'm not too sure whether you bought it just yesterday. But if you, for those who are looking to enter, wouldn't recommend to enter for Meta. And if Hanzhong you already have position around 537, I think around that 520 might be a key support level that you actually want to look at. If prices break below this 520 level, maybe that's a sign or that's an indication for you to maybe consider to have some stop loss plan in mind, or even now to have a stop loss plan in mind just in case it breaks below this 520 and show more weakness. So hopefully if you bought it long time ago, hopefully you took some profit. If you bought it yesterday, wouldn't have recommend because it's showing weakness. So actually, yeah, I think for Meta, 520 is currently a key support level that we want to monitor, and with the resistance near that $600 psychological level. So I think that's for Meta. Hopefully it gives you a clarity on how Meta is doing now. So I think if not, I'll pass on my time to Z to cover the next US stock.
All right, thanks, Jia. Okay, so the next one that I'll be covering will actually be an ETF, right? And that would be by SFR7916. Please take a look at GLD if you can. Are we bottoming out? Okay, so I need to preface this first. By no means I'm a macro expert, macro environment expert, but to the best of my knowledge, maybe I just share with you some of the things that I think about for gold, right? Especially when we talk about gold prices. It's related to a lot of things, right? There's a lot of different drivers that is involved that affects gold prices, right? So, I mean, definitely over the past, since the start of 2026 to where we are at now, you can see that prices have been dipping, right? Definitely profit taking actually happened. Because if you say over the past year, since 2024, 2025, wow, gold price has been soaring, right? It has been soaring and it has been in a very, very strong uptrend. So profit taking coming back is normal, right? But it's just that since 2026, at the start till now, profit taking has been returning, right? I mean, that's one of the reasons that you can see price is actually coming down. I think secondly, another reason could also be because, there is a recovery in the US dollars as well. And that could potentially make gold more expensive for buyers using other currencies. And also more recently will be regarding the interest rates, right? Because expectations of the Federal Reserve keeping the interest rate higher for a longer period of time, they could potentially reduce the appeal for, things like gold, which is non-yielding, rather than, it'll be better if you buy stocks whereby they actually gives dividend, right? And that potentially have more upside towards investors, right? So that could also be another drivers as to why gold prices seems to be tumbling, right? So with that in mind, I mean, of course, that is just some of the information that perhaps you can take note of, right? But of course, do your due diligence as well. But looking at the chart right now, based on technical analysis, because for Joey and our team, our forte will be in looking at charts, right? Looking at the price action, technical analysis, right? So to answer SFR question, are we bottoming out? The thing is that we will never know, right, when the market is going to bottom out, or when will we hit the low of the low. Nobody will know one. If you ask anybody out there and they tell you, hey, next month bottom out, wow, the person confirm maybe scam already, right? Cannot believe in such thing, because nobody will know when the market will bottom out, right? And that's the thing, right? We don't want to have the mindset whereby we want to think where is the bottom is and you want to bottom fish. It's usually very hard, right? That is the reason why we want to follow the trend instead, and that is where the chart will be telling us and giving us some of the confirmations, right, on what are some of the things that we should look out for to see, hey, is the support level still valid? Has the trend started to turn down? What are some of the confirmations that we should be looking at, right? So based on what we are looking at right now for gold, like what I mentioned, price action definitely has been going down, right? And in fact, if I were to draw this, maybe I draw this, some of y'all can also, perhaps some of you guys might also draw it on your chart already. You guys can probably also see this downward sloping channel resistance line, right? You guys can see, right? It has been like that since the start of January, actually, end of Jan, right over here at the tip, all the way to where we are at now. Every time it approaches this, it comes down, approaches this, come down, approaches this, come down. And right now, are we there again? It seems like we are testing this channel, downward sloping channel resistance line, right over here, right? That's just one thing, right? Secondly, in terms of the trend wise, 20 days moving average, it has been pointing down, right? It has been down, flatten out, down, flatten out. Now it's flattening out, right? Now it's flattening out, which is fine. But the longer term trend, take a look at the longer term trend. Look at this, right? The red actually start to cross below the blue already, and that is not actually a very good sign, right? In terms of the longer term trend, because longer term you want to make sure that it's in an uptrend, but now it's a different story. When we look back 2 years ago, 2024, right? You can see that it is right here. You can see that what we are seeing back then is the red actually cross above the blue, but now different. Now is the red cross below the blue, and that is not a good sign in terms of the longer term trend. Could there be a reversal? Could there be more weakness? We may see more weakness if we start to see prices breaking support levels, right? And on top of that, not only one, but two 1GT bearish signal that already appeared. There is no bullish signal coming out here. Bearish signal 2 still playing out, right? And you can see I've drawn my support over here, right? About 360. I think this would be a very key support level to actually take note for GLD right over here, right? Because previously you see that this from October, November, prices break above this level, tested it again somewhere in end of October, right, to start of November, and then prices went up all the way, right? And right now when price actually break down this level, this $400 psychological level, right, and it hits towards this 360 over the past month since end of June to start of July, right, you can see that price managed to hold above this 360, right? It is definitely still testing and holding above it as of now, because yesterday price closed at 377, above 360. It's definitely still holding above it. But I would say that this would be one of the very crucial support zone, right, that you want to watch out for. If prices is unable to hold above this 360, right, definitely I would say we may see even more weakness or selling pressure returning back to GLD, and perhaps towards the next support right here, around maybe the 320, whereby previously it was a resistance. Again, during this consolidation period in April 2025 to September 2025, this was a resistance, right? And now, if price is unable to hold above this 360 as mentioned, potentially you may see more weakness returning back to perhaps the 220, right? And if that actually happens, very likely, you may see the 20 days moving average also start to show signs of it pointing down again. And we may not even see just 2 1GT bearish signal, but maybe even 3, right? If it really breaks and go even lower, right? So that's the thing, right? Right now, definitely we are seeing signs of weakness whereby prices break below the $400 psychological level, 2 1GT bearish signal plus red cross below the blue line. So are we actually at the bottom yet? Like I've mentioned, I don't know, right? I don't know. But the key thing that definitely I think you want to watch out for would be this 360 support level. Immediate resistance, as I've drawn here, $400 psychological level. So but the thing is that for those of you who are thinking about buying GLD, buying gold, I think one thing, right, that maybe you want to monitor or you want to keep a watch for would be maybe for at least the red line, right? If it is able to flatten out as well, I think that would be good. And if we are able to see some sort of like consolidation like that within this range, then at least we know that gold prices kind of like stabilize. But again, like I mentioned right at the start, there's a lot of different factors that actually affect the gold price, right? And those are the things that is definitely out of our control. We are unable to predict those kind of things and macro environment factors that affect all these gold prices. But what we can do is to take note of the price levels, right, that we are seeing on the chart, and to have plan in place accordingly. Okay, but in terms of those of you who are thinking about entering into gold, like maybe SFR, right? Are we bottoming out? Maybe you're thinking about buying when it's at the bottom. I don't know. I don't know whether are we at the bottom, but right now, these would be the key levels. And if you really think about like trading, buying, then perhaps what we could be looking at will be within this range lah. But make sure again to have a downside risk management plan if it does break below the 360 right over here as mentioned, right? Because this will be a very crucial level that I'm watching myself as well. Okay, so that would be for GLD. I hope that helps to give you something to think about. But yeah, I mean, with that, I'll pass my time back over to Joey to cover the next US stock.
All right, thank you so much, Z. So I think we have gone on for like more than 2 hours already. Maybe we can just go one final round, right? Just to cover like 3 more stocks before we move on to the bonus stock session, whereby we share with you some of the stocks that we like lah. Okay, Ken? Okay, now let's go ahead to see the next stock, and this would be asked by let's see, right? Reka, I hope you're still over here, Reka. Hi team, what is the outlook for Intel stock? Is now a good time to buy Intel? I believe that will be INTC. All right, so you're looking to buy. Is it a good time? Should you be cautious? If you're looking to buy, what are some of the levels maybe you could consider, right? If it does dip to that level, right? Let's find out. So as I say, guys, very, very sorry if we cannot cover all your stocks. We'll just go through like one more round, right? I think there's like more than 50 over stocks right there, right? Very sorry if we cannot cover all of it. Hopefully you can join us the next time, but we do our best to cover like, about 15 stocks for every AMAS session lah. Okay, Ken? Okay, now this is Intel. You can see very clearly, guys, I've already turned on, all right, Reka, I've turned on the 1GT bullish and bearish signals right over here, all right? Turn it on, pump, all right? And I think you can see for yourself that we actually got not one but two 1GT bearish signal. I mean, previously it was not too bad. It was like in March, April. Look at this, pump 2 also, right? And then very strong. Look at the green line. The green line that was like flat, very boring. We were like consolidating. Started to turn up. We got 2 bullish signals. The long-term trend already up. There we go. Right, all the way up. I mean, how many percent would that be? That would be easily, I think more than 100 over percent, 153% in 1 month plus. All right. So that's what we are waiting for to get in, right? To ride the reversal, right? To ride the massive rally again, right? There was bullish signals popping out in April. Now let's take a look at what is happening right now. Okay, are we seeing green bullish signals? No. I mean, in fact, we got 2 red one, not green one, 2 red one coming out. So a bit not so good already lah. If you look at the green line, is it pointing down? Yes, it is pointing down. Okay, so 2 bearish signals, short-term trend, unfortunately, still down. All right, so a little bit of weakness, I would say, in the short term. We are not exactly out of the woods yet, I would say, even though the longer-term trend looks, I mean, it's still up. Like, look at the red line pointing up very nicely, the blue line pointing up very nicely. So long-term trend, actually no problem. The long-term trend is okay, all right? But just that in the short term, you could sell now 1 week, 2 week, 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, I don't know, right? We're not exactly out of the woods yet, right? So you can see that over the past, 2 months, 3 months, since like May, June, we were actually finding some good support, right? Around or kind of like above the $100 psychological level. So 100 is a very key psychological support, all right? And you can see rebound, right? But unfortunately, as the market weakened, right, the tech stocks started to sell off over the past 1 week plus. We got 2 bearish signal, and then we also went below the $100, right? So not so strong, I would say, right? If we stay below 100, it's just a little bit weaker, all right? Next support level could be anything from 70 to 80. I mean, look at this, right? Previously, it was a bit of a resistance below 70. We broke above it. So it could be very near. I'm not too sure exactly where, but I think these are all very, very attractive zones indeed. All right, we are also watching it. I mean, you can see that we are also back to where the longer term moving averages are, right? Look at the red line and the blue line. We're right in the middle, right? Kind of like in between the red and the blue line. So that is where I would say a lot of bargain hunting can come back as well, right? Once we stabilize, once we see the short-term trend, just cool off. I mean, in terms of the downside cooling off, in terms of the selling momentum cooling off, I think that's where it can look really, really attractive. So I think if you're looking to buy, right? So back to your question, right, Rika, is now a good time to buy? Not very clear, right? Not very clear. I would say probably not, because as I say, bearish signals still in play, short-term trends still down. If we do see good support coming out above 70, above 80, right around here, these zones over the next 1-2 weeks, buyers comes out, it starts to consolidate, like what we saw over here, right? Look at this, right? We got a bearish signal, it starts to move sideways, it stops going down. The green line, you see, starts to flatten out as well. All right, like obviously now the green line is pointing down, right? But let's assume it starts to flatten out, like that. All right, so normally how the short-term trend works is that it will not just suddenly like V-shaped, like recovery, very seldom, right? Most of the time, you'll see it flatten out. I mean, I don't know exactly where, but once it flattens out a little bit, right? It means that the short-term trend is no longer down, it's a bit sideways. Whether it will turn up is another thing, but at least it's no longer down. Does it make sense, right? And then that could be a sign where, hey, some good support has indeed came back. It could be near 70, it could be near 80. And that is where maybe, right, you could think about getting in on deep. Don't need to rush, all right, because we still need a bit more confirmation. We still want, these bullish signals to come out. And that will be where you get more confirmation to load up a bit more. But without that confirmation, you want to just nibble a bit, near the support, right? Because the short-term trend at least is no longer down, right? Fine, but just be a bit more cautious. Don't need to rush. Does it make sense, right, Ken? So that will be for Intel, INTC, all right, short-term, not out of the woods. Hopefully, we see good support coming from $70 to $80 around that. Okay, Ken? So let me pass on the mic to Jai to cover the next US stock.
All right, thank you, Joey. So the next stock that I'm covering on will be on this one, Walmart. I think it's been a while since I saw Walmart as well. Okay, I think Walmart, Ronald, say bought at cost price 120.20. Should I hold and DCA or should I cut loss? So I think for Walmart wise, if you were to look at it just since last year, moving averages pointing up, there's strength. Once in a while, when prices come back down, showing some weakness, I think just last year, start of last year, it actually came close to that 200 days moving average, but managed to stay above and well supported, continue to show more strength, break above a resistance of $100, went up, and afterwards started to show more strength. So if you were to zoom in just for Walmart wise, since last year until maybe this year, moving averages for the long term has been showing strength. All the while, 200 days and the 100 days has been pointing up. But I think just recently, if you were to zoom in, it actually went up close to the 135 resistance level. This year, Feb, came down back to this 120 support level. So previously, it's a support level, was managed to stay above this 120 support level, went back up close to the 130 level again, test this level again, but couldn't break above in May. And just, I think last 2 months, I think start of June or end of May, it actually broke below this 120 with a 1 GT bearish signal that appeared. And afterwards, prices came close to the 120, test this level quite a few times, but couldn't stay above afterwards, came back down to test that 110 support level. So I would say previously, Walmart have been showing strength. Moving averages has been pointing up. But now, if you were to look at it, first thing is the 20 days moving average is already pointing down. 100 days is flattening and already pointing down. 200 days, overall still pointing up, but prices is currently trading below this 200 days moving average. So if prices continue to show more weakness, we might see that the 20 days moving average, the 100 days moving average might start to point down. The 200 days might start to flatten and it might cross over, which could be a sign that there might be more weakness in this Walmart counter. So best is actually for Walmart to actually break above this 120 and stay above it to show that there's actually still strength in this counter. But overall, I think if you were to look at Walmart now, I think currently it's kind of going close to the 110 support level again, testing this level. And if it goes close to the 120, you might see that there might be more selling pressure coming in again for this Walmart. So I think for Ronald, if you already have a 120, you bought it around 120 previously, actually it was quite a good support level, a good entry level. It's just that when the prices start to break below this 120, what could be your stop loss level that you might have in mind? But now actually it's coming close to the 110 support level. If prices are able to stay above and rebound back up to this 120 level again, maybe that's when you can consider to actually let go of Walmart, or maybe wait for more strength to come in again before you re-enter again. But I would say for Walmart wise, currently it's kind of trading in between this 110 to 120 level. If you're looking to DCA, wouldn't actually recommend, because currently it's showing some weakness. Best is actually, if you want, when it goes close to the resistance again of 120, maybe if you want, you can reduce exposure or cut loss with some losses. And when it start to show more strength again, break the 120 and see that there's more confirmation and more upside, then that's when you re-enter. Nothing wrong with that. That could be a sign that there might be more strength. Break 120, go to the 130 level. That's where you could have take some profit as well. So I say for Ronald, if you're looking at Walmart, hold and DCA, wouldn't recommend you to DCA. Currently, if you want, you can hold, see whether the 110 support can be supported. And if it goes back to the 120 resistance, that's when maybe if you want, you can reduce exposure. Yep. So I think that's for Walmart. Hopefully that answers your question. If not, I'll pass on my time to Z to cover the next stock.
All right, thanks, Jai. Okay, so I'll be covering the last requested stock before we move on to the bonus section, right? And the stock that I have here would be by Melina, right? Melina, hi team, could you cover Qualcomm, please? Okay, so Melina, if you're still here, not too sure, maybe you can provide me a little bit more information as well. Whether are you thinking of buying, or you already have, maybe some more context lah, so that it can be a bit more personalized. All right. So for Qualcomm, let's take a look at it while Melina reply, right? Okay, so for Qualcomm, right, I mean, it's also within the semicon industry lah, so it's not spared, right? As you can see, in terms of the short term wise, definitely pointing down. We are seeing weakness. 20 days moving average is still pointing down. As of yesterday, still pointing down, right? And prices closed at 151.60 yesterday. It get down, but I mean, of course, it closed higher than it opened lah, right? That's why it was a green candlestick, right? But overall, general price action still not that great, right? We also have a 1 GT bearish signal that actually appeared during 30th of June. Yeah, 30th of June, right over here, right? And in terms of the longer term trend, right? Longer term trend, at least it is not pointing down, right? It is kind of just going sideways lah. So, but if the longer term trend, we start to see some signs of weakness as well, and you start to see the longer term trend start to point out, and especially those of you who are holding on to like maybe Qualcomm, right? Maybe Melina, I'm not too sure. If you're holding on to Qualcomm, then that's when you got to be a little bit more cautious as well, right? Because if the longer term trend also start to show weakness, your short term already showing weakness, then that's when you need to have a plan in place to manage your downside risk lah. All right. So right now for Qualcomm, what do we see? We see that in terms of the support, right? I've drawn at around this 140, right over here. Right? I think this would be one of the support zone, right, near the 140, maybe 140 to about 145, 150. That could be one of the support zone that we could be looking at for Qualcomm, right? Whether will this support zone actually holds, right? Because right now, if this support zone doesn't hold, then wouldn't you agree that there's a higher probability, right, that maybe another 1 GT bearish signal might appear, right? And your 100 days moving average might also start a bit start to slope down, right? So I think that's the key thing, right? That's the key thing right now for Qualcomm to have some price alert set, right, at near this 140 level, right, to see whether can this level indeed hold, right? And if it indeed hold, right, it doesn't mean that if it indeed hold, then immediately I go and buy into the stock. No, right? Not exactly as well. Because why? We also still want to make sure that the short-term moving average, right, at least stabilize first lah. Don't continue to point out. Because if it continues to go at 140, but your 20 days moving average still pointing down, could there be a chance of it breaking this 140? There still could be, right? So that's the reason why we want to have some confirmation, right? in terms of the short term as well, for it to actually stabilize first, head sideways, right? And then that is where you get more confirmation that, hey, okay, perhaps, right, the selling pressure has temporarily paused already, right? Not as strong as previously as we seen back in June, July, right? So that those are the things that we want to spot for as well as part of our checklist, right? So if everything, if the 20 days moving average, if prices is able to hold above 140, 20 days moving average head sideways, all three moving average pointing sideways, then potentially, then potentially what we could be seeing could be a sideways consolidation phase lah, right? And the sideways consolidation phase could be in a range whereby support and resistance, right? The whole reason why it's called a consolidation range is there is a range lah, a range in place, a support in place, a resistance in place. And the resistance, as you can see, that I've drawn right over here, immediate resistance, I think it will be around this 190, right here, right? Previously, you can see that selling pressure return, right? Let me just, selling pressure return here, wow, very long upper shadow candlestick, even though it's green, but very bearish, right? Because of the long upper candlestick, right? And price eventually broke above this resistance, turning it to become a support for at least 2 months, right? May, June, July, for this period right over here, right? And then it actually broke down once again back into this range, right? So right now, I would say that for Qualcomm, right? I mean, especially for those of you who are thinking about entering Qualcomm, you may want to watch out for more confirmations first, because short-term weakness is still present. 1GT bearish signal is also still present. Price action is also telling us a story that, bears are still in control, right? But whereas for those of you who are in the green, I think it is also good for you to actually lock in some profits. Why? Because 20 days moving average, like I mentioned, short-term weakness is present already, right? So for those of you who are in the green, right, I think good to lock in some profits as well, right? Especially so we are seeing a general weakness across the tech sector. Okay, so I think Melina, I don't know if Melina is still here, right? But I mean, I hope you are still here and you have taken note of some of the levels, right? So, and also for those of you who are still keen in Qualcomm, those are the levels that you can set some price alert on to continue monitoring this particular stock. Okay, so I think with that, that will be the end of the requested stock by you guys, and I will pass the time back over to Joey so that he can kickstart the bonus section.
All right, thank you so much, Z. Yeah, so there we have it, guys. We have covered a total of like 15 stocks already. I think some of you who are asking for it, if you missed it, guys, you can watch the replay. The replay will be on YouTube as well as on Facebook. So make sure you hit the subscribe button, the follow button on Facebook, right, if you have not yet done so that you can easily access the replay, all right, in case you miss any part. But before that, before we move into the 3 top bonus stocks that I'd like to share with you guys, right, me, Jia, and Z will share with you. Let's do a quick recap as to what we have covered today so far, so you have a better idea. Okay, we covered the S&P 500 index, the Dow Jones. I covered the very first stock, MU, Micron, right? Alphabet, GOOGL, ABBV, Marvel Tech, Citigroup, PayPal Holdings, INCY Corporation, AMD, Oracle, Robinhood, Meta, Go, GLD, right? Intel Corporation, Walmart, and Z just covered on Qualcomm. All right, Ken. So let's move on. Let's move on right now to the next part, and that would be the bonus stock. So I saw some of you were actually asking about this stock. So I thought, I'll just put your comment and save it some later first. And that will be my very first bonus stock, and that will be Apple, AAPL, right? So let's take a look at some of the, comments or chat messages on Apple, right? Eddie, I bought Apple at 316, all right? Price 316, right? Now it's 333, right? Price dropped to 313. Maybe typo, 333 after earnings, I dropped a bit, all right? But you bought at 316, so not too bad. You are sitting on some profits, right? Do you advise trading through earnings using a 1GT system? With the price drop further, I'm confident in this stock, right? So very good. You have this stock, holding on to it, came down a little bit, but you're still sitting on profits, right? Could it go up even more? What is a good support level, but you may even enter more again, right? Let's find out. Ginny, is it still a good time to buy Apple? Okay, so Eddie, you got holdings. Ginny, you don't have holdings, but maybe you want to think about buying, right? Very good. Thanks for giving us a bit of context. ABC, thinking of buying Apple as it has dropped about 6%. Yep, dropped about 6%. Results this morning. Okay, very good. So looking to get in again on dips, right? A little bit cheaper. Let's find out as well. So here is Apple, right? Some of you have got in, some of you have not got in. But let's find out what is Apple's trend right now, right? So I would say that for Apple, the long-term trend, look at the red and the blue line, very nice, right? Very nice. Look, red pointing up, blue pointing up. You see that we neared the longer-term moving averages, right? Same thing right over here. We neared the red and blue line, right? The longer-term moving averages. Let me just turn this off. All right. So remember just now, guys, I talked about, we saw some technology stocks that really sold off quite badly. All right. We got bearish signals and they're selling down, and then the price looks quite attractive. I think I talked about Intel, right? 70 to $80 support, right? And I also mentioned that if we were to near the longer term moving averages, like for example, right, as you can see, we neared the longer term moving averages, all these could act as what we call a very good dynamic support level, right? Whereby it retraces back to where the longer term trend lines are, the longer term moving averages, right? So you can see for Apple, right, we traded there, buyers came out, and we pushed away from this level. So why am I sharing with you guys this? So that to give you a bit of an idea as to what we are looking for in those stocks that I talk about, right? Whereby we have sold down and down and down, and then we are, some of it is like in between the red and blue line, some of them is nearing, all right? Some of them going to touch the red line soon, right? That's what we're looking for as well, just to get a better idea whereby, it could look really, really attractive, of course, with other confirmations, right? If we hit to these levels, right? For that reversal move, okay? So this is for Apple, right? So long-term trend, no problem. Red and blue both running up, very strong longer-term uptrend, one of the very fundamentally strong stocks that we like since like many years back, all right? And I would say, I'm not really an Apple fan. I don't really use the iPhone and stuff, the iPad and stuff, right? But I think a lot of people that I know, right, using iPhones and tablets and everything, right? So let's take a look at the chart, okay? So let's turn it on in terms of the bullish and bearish signals. There we go, right? So you can see for Apple, well, since like April, we got bullish signals popping out. The green 20 days moving average line turn up. We got a bearish signal in June. I think we talked about it as well, right? We went down a little bit. The green line turned down. But since like July, all right, since July, early of July, we actually got a 1 GT bullish signal when we broke above that 300 level. So that was the first 1 GT bullish signal that got triggered, right? Of course, the green line, it was like going down a bit, also started to turn up as another confirmation. So that's why you look a bit more bullish, right? Of course, the reversal happened. It's pushed up a little bit from 300 all the way to 333 now. So a bit more expensive already, right? But doesn't matter, right? Could there be more upside for those of you who are looking to get in? Well, I would say that the longer-term trend is up. Short-term trend is up. Bullish signals are still in play. And if I can draw this line right over here, I think this is a very key level, the 320. So 300 will be a very key psychological support, right? That was where we broke it early of July. Then support became higher at 310, right? 310. But it seems like over the past 2 weeks, 320, right? Higher, all right? Again, higher. 320 has came out as a higher support level. So this 320 was a resistance. We've got above it, stayed above it. In fact, we kind of like dipped a little bit like last Thursday to it. We saw a bit of a doji right over here, a bit of a reversal signal, and then we push away from the 320, right? So 320 would be, I would say, a very key support level. If we stay above 320, I think that, if we can hit there, it will be quite attractive. If you can hit to those levels, 320 to 330, very attractive zones. So that's where bargain hunting have came out previously as well, all right? In terms of the resistance, if I can just draw it for you, we're very, very near that 345 to 350. Let's just say 350. I think 350 could be what we call a bit of a resistance as we near there, all right? But I think overall looks good. Long-term trend is up, short-term trend is up, all right? So looking to enter, right? No holdings at the moment. Genie looking to enter. ABC thinking of buying Apple as well. I think you could consider, right? Anything above 320 or 330, that could be a very good zone, all right, to think about getting in. It's fundamentally strong, longer-term play. If you want a trading play as well, right? Of course, if it's more of a short-term play, please practice, proper risk management, do position sizing, make sure don't just anyhow buy and whack a lot, right? So practice proper risk management, all right? And I think that's very important as well. Doesn't matter whether it's for Apple or for any other stocks as well, right? So for Eddie, all right, I think it's okay. You got in, it went up a little bit higher, all right? I feel that it looks good. I'm not too sure whether it would drop further, but if it does drop a little bit or maybe drop to near 320 to 330, it could actually be a good entry. to get in again. I mean, since you're confident in this stock, I think those are pretty good support levels. Whereby it still looks pretty bullish above. Okay, so that would be my bonus stock today. All right, AAPL Apple. Let me go ahead to pass on the mic to Jai to share his top bonus US stock. Jai, yours.
All right, thank you, Joey. So my bonus stock will actually be on J&J, Johnson and Johnson. So I think, So I think someone was also asking about J&J. I think Jen. So you say, please review J&J. That's why we never review, because this is one of the bonus stock. We mentioned, I think last week also, this is as well the bonus stock we mentioned. Bought at 256, price hit 270, down, and now back to square one. Is it a good time to is it good to hold? So I think for Jen, I think you previously heard about our bonus stock, J&J, and you maybe entered, but we actually mentioned about like where could be a resistance level that you could have take some profit. Not to worry. Let's look at this J&J. How is it still holding? Is it still good? And maybe whether you still can hold on to it, or whether you should cut loss. So I think J&J, previously we mentioned about it. Previously 220 was a resistance level. Just start of this year, it broke above this level, went close to that 250 level. I think just start of the year in Feb, came back down to test this 220 quite a few times and managed to break above this 250. So I think, which is why we actually previously mentioned about J&J, is because after being kept under this 250 since March, it actually broke above this 250 in June. So in June, it managed to break above. Moving averages wise, previously short term was showing some weakness, came back down, start to flatten, and when it start to rebound from that 220 level, moving averages start to point down. The 200 days and 100 days remain to be sloping upwards. 20 days start to show more strength. 1GT bullish signal appeared previously, broke above that 250, another 1GT bullish signal appeared again. So this counter actually, after breaking above that 250, showed strength, showed that there's potential in this J&J. So afterwards, we did say that I think we did mention that the 270 level was a resistance. So I think back then 270 was a resistance. Selling pressure came in, sellers came in to push the price back down close to that 250 again. Prices managed to stay above and recently went up to that 270. Managed to break above, but on that day it actually closed below that 270. So we can see that actually 270 still remains to be a resistance level where sellers actually come in to take some profit, and that's where we can actually also take some profit previously if we entered, have some position. Actually 270 could be an area or could be a zone that we could have take some profit. So I think J&J now currently, I think yesterday there was some news that they actually readjust their target price and their earnings. So I think it actually came down, gap down. But I would say overall, J&J is still quite well supported around that 250 level. I think for Jen, if you previously bought it around at 256, they are currently near the level. Maybe if you want, you can see whether prices are able to go back up to the 270 level again. If it's able to go close to the 270, maybe that's when you can actually take some profit. Or if prices come back down to that 250 level, maybe that's a key support level that you want to monitor. If prices break below this 250 and show some weakness, maybe you want to get out first. But I would say overall, J&J still seems to be pretty strong. 250 still seems to be well supported, with the target to be around at 270 level. And if prices are able to break above this 270, I think the next projection will be about 290 or even that $300 psychological level. So I think for those who are looking to enter for maybe J&J, maybe around at 250 might be a good entry level as well. And if we were to turn on the 1GT, the trailing support and resistance, you can see that actually to account for the volatility, the trailing support is actually around at 245, which you see that prices actually came close to this level but managed to stay above, and prices start to show more strength afterwards. So around at 245 to 250 level, maybe that's where you can enter for J&J for those who do not have position, with the target to be around at 270. Nothing wrong to take some partial profit, and maybe towards that 290 or 300, that's when you can actually take another round of a profit as well. So I think Jen, I think you still have some position for J&J well. And I think for J&J, this is also one of the counters that we mentioned in our money newsletter as well. So for clients who actually are a client under us, I believe you also receive the money newsletter as well every start of the month. I think J&J was also one of the counter that we mentioned, I think in June, I believe, and our target was also around at 270 level. So I believe for those who are actually not a client under us, if you're interested to find out more about how you guys can receive such money newsletter, and also on a daily basis, Joey also will send out a WhatsApp broadcast on Singapore counters as well. So if you're interested to find out more about looking at Singapore counters and for short-term trades, I think if you're interested to become a client under us, maybe the team can help me place the link in the chat. Feel free to find out more about how to become a client under Joey, and it's free as well. So just click the link to find out more. Yep. If not, that's for J&J, and that's my bonus stock for today. If not, I'll pass on my time to Z to cover her bonus stock.
All right, thanks, Jia. Okay, let me change my screen. And okay, I hope you guys can all see my screen, right? So, all right, I mean, Joey brought us through Apple for today, then Jia just covered J&J. So let me finish off with something that I think almost everyone here, I think we still got about 90 over people here, right? Probably at some point in time in life, you have tried this before, which is Coca-Cola, right? So this is not really, I would say, not an exciting AI stock, not a high growth tech name, very different, right? Which is sometimes I feel that it's good to have in terms of having a balance in your portfolio, because something like, more defensive companies like that can also, help to balance the portfolio out in terms of the volatility, right? So in terms of Coca-Cola, right, I believe some of you guys who are looking at this as well, probably you guys should have known as well that they have recently released their earnings, right? So the company, as you can see over here, right, Q2 2026 delivered strong revenue and profit growth with robust cash flow and positive outlook. So the company actually beat expectations, right? So it just means that, more people are actually buying the drinks around the world, and the management was actually confident enough to raise their outlook, right, for the rest of the year. And that is usually a positive sign. Because it actually tells us that, the business is actually still performing despite the current uncertain economy environment, right? So I believe, as you can see, based on the price action, the market like what it saw, right, based on the earnings result. And the stock has also been responding well, right? So the fundamentals, I mean, based on what we have just talked about briefly, I mean, you guys can go and read up more on the earnings as well. It looks pretty healthy, right? But as always, we always look at the technical analysis and the chart to tell us, where are the support, where are the resistance, and potentially then formulate a trading plan from there. All right. So based on this right now, of course, Coca-Cola, you guys all will agree with me that it is a uptrending stock green, red, blue, everything is actually pointing up, right? And we also do have a 1 GT bullish signal that is here, right? So I have left some of my lines here and also the boxes here, because I think this was actually also one of the stocks that we have covered with our clients as well, right? So as you can see, right, previously when I was talking about this stock, the support that we have drawn is around 82, resistance about 83, right? And you can see it's pretty clear that every time when prices near this level, buyers actually came in, it tested this 82 period for a period of time, at least 1 month, I would say. And every time it reached this 86, right, that is where selling pressure actually returned, right? Selling pressure came in, pushed price back down, right? So that was actually kind of like the range or the levels that we were working with for over the past month, right? And based on that, as you can see, my next level, right, resistance level drawn was around $90. Number one, $90 psychological level. Number two, if you were to do based on a projection, right, again, how we actually do projection, because there isn't any past price action for me to refer, right? It's an all-time high. And based on the range, right, you can see if I project it out, right, it will be very nicely matching up with the $90 psychological level, right? So that's why I actually drew at $90 as well. And you can see over the past actually 3 days since the earnings result came out, near the $90, that was where we started to see selling pressure returning again, right? Just look at the candlestick. The candlestick is telling us that there is a long upper shadow, right? Long upper shadow means what? Long upper shadow means selling pressure, right? At some point in time throughout the trading session, sellers, bears push the price all the way down. That is what causes this long upper shadow. And this actually happened at the resistance zone near the $90, right? Which, yeah, I mean, that just nice happened at the resistance zone, right? So right now, as of last night, price closed at 88.46. Right, so actually this 86 level, right, I should change it to what we call a green color line, right? Because it is now a new support level. It previously was a resistance, right? Now became a new support level. I mean, based on the 3 days of price action that we can see, right? So the thing now for Coca-Cola, right? I think what perhaps some of you guys, if you are keen, put this in your watch list. Some of the levels to take note of, definitely number one, to see whether price is actually, when it retraces back, right, profit taking happen, can it actually hold above this new higher support at 86, right? And if it does, I mean, of course, that is where you can actually formulate your trading plan already, right? Which is near this 86 support zone, then with a stop loss slightly below the 86 level and a target around the $90. That could be one of a trading plan, right? But again, I think today I have not really on this trading support and resistance, right? But maybe let me just turn it on right now. Right, when I turn on, you guys can see, right? This red and green shaded areas actually came out, right? See, turn off, turn on, right? So is price actually above the trailing support right now? Definitely, right? Price is actually above the trailing support. And just a reminder or a refresher, right? What is this trailing support about? This trailing support is actually a dynamic support, right? That actually follows the prices as it moves up, right? So as long as price is holding above the trailing support, great, right? And you can see that this trailing support right now is actually below this 82 horizontal support level that I've drawn, right? So in terms of those of you who are maybe a bit more, I would say, conservative, right? The risk appetite not so big, and you are waiting for, price pullback towards a support zone for you to buy. I mean, here is this support zone at 86 valid? I would say yes, definitely it's still valid. But for some people who are waiting for a support zone retracement back towards this 82, right? Is it also valid? I would say that this 82 support zone definitely is also valid, right? I mean, both of these, I would say, it is, sorry, let me draw this a bit. Both of these support zone, right, I would say that it is definitely valid, but again, it is going back to your risk appetite in terms of how aggressive are you when it comes to planning your trade, right? Because there's no right and wrong, but as long as you have a plan in place, I think it's fine, right? And if prices were to retrace back to this level, for those more conservative ones to actually potentially enter, then that is where in terms of a trading plan, it could look something like that as well, right? In terms of your trading plan, whereby your stop loss, you can place it slightly below the trailing support, right? Because when we know that price break below a trading support, what is going to happen is that there's going to be a 1 GD bearish signal, right? Because you give the stock enough room to breathe, but it still break below the trailing support, then 1 GD bearish signal come out, not so good, right? That could also be a potential trading plan, right? So I would say that there's no one size fit all, right? But again, back to your risk, your own risk appetite. How aggressive are you, or are you a more conservative trader as well? Because I would say that based on this, right, the one at 86, I would consider it to be slightly more aggressive, right? Because it is a breakout, right? And that is what we call breakout strategy lah. But otherwise, the other one that I've mentioned is what we call a pullback strategy. Nothing wrong as well. There's no right or wrong which one is better than the other, but at the end of the day, you must be comfortable with what you are doing, right? And also have a plan in place, your target and also your stop loss to manage the downside risk. Should something were to happen, another announcement suddenly come out, which we are not able to foresee, right? And if those kind of things happen, at least have a plan in place to manage your downside risk if prices were to suddenly reverse. Okay, so that would be for Coca-Cola. I think definitely is something that is still very strong and is still in my watch list as well, right? And have also set some price alerts here, as you can see. So yeah, if you guys like this stock, take note of some of the levels, set your price alert, and can also put it in your watch list. All right, so that would be Coca-Cola from me. And with that, I think we have come to the end of today's session, and I'll pass my time back over to Joey to close off.
All right, thank you so much, Z. And yeah, there we have it, guys. We have covered the three bonus stock. I mean, the first one from me would be Apple, AAPL, and then Jai covered on J and Z just covered on KO, Coca-Cola. So I hope that helped, guys. So yeah, I mean, we're still seeing weakness. We're still seeing weakness in the market overall. Very volatile, down, next day rebound, could be down again, right? So hang in there, right? Hopefully, we see some stability once all this news flow, the headlines, the US-Iran war, inflation, all these clears up, I think that will be where we could start to see potentially more upside, especially if the resistance level that I talked about in the market right at the beginning, right? If that breaks, that's where I think more momentum could actually return. All right. So yes, thank you so much for joining us. Type of V for value, guys. If you got value, you learn something about your stocks. We have covered your stocks. And same thing, right? My apologies if we cannot cover all the stocks in the chat. We try our best, right? But there's just so many stocks. It will probably take us another few hours. All right. So hopefully you can join us again in the next AMAS session. But let us know, type of V for value, guys. If you found value in today's AMAS session, want to make sure that all of you learn something, take away something. I mean, that's the whole point of today's session or every Friday session, right? It's not really for us, it's just for you guys, just to make sure that you all learn something. All right, get a quick opinion. Value as well. Glenn, value, thank you so much. Eddie, Brandon, value, awesome, right? A lot of value, right? Very good. So very simple, guys. We'll see you in the next AMAS next Friday. That we'll be back to the Singapore market, right? Singapore market. And that's where we look forward to share more and cover your Singapore stocks as well. Good to see you here as well, Ji-Sing. All right, Stephen, value. Awesome. Okay, very good. So yeah, I think that's it. And one final thing, I think Jia mentioned as well, right? In case you're not yet a client of mine in Phillip Securities, do check out the link is right in the chat. Find out how you can become a client of mine in Phillip Securities, where I'm a broker, where my team is a broker. All right, we're all licensed brokers. All right, and that's where you can get some of our top ideas, right? In the Singapore market for free, some of our private training videos, some of our newsletter articles, right? For free, right? At no additional cost, just by having a free trading account under me in Phillip Securities, where I'm a broker, all right? So in case you're not getting any service from your own broker, all right, it's just like an online platform, online app, you log in, that kind of thing. Nobody care about you, nobody send you anything, you cannot WhatsApp anybody, that kind of thing, right? Then check it out. You do not pay anything more, all right? That's where we could add more value to you even more. You could get some of our ideas even faster, all right? And we look forward to work with you even closer as well. Okay, so the link is right in the chat. And of course, finally, I think final call, right? Final shout out next Tuesday. We, as I said, today we don't have time to break down the whole strategy, the whole confirmations that we seek apart from the bullish, green, and bearish rate signals. But next Tuesday, all right, we do have a one good trend webinar, all right, to share with you more. And that's where I'll be conducting it. I'll be hosting it. Attend the free webinar, register for it. You'll receive a confirmation email, and I'll see you next Tuesday to break it down for you even clearer. Okay? So anything to add, Jia and Z?
I think for the next 2 weeks, probably you will see me and Bervin, as Jia will be taking some time away. I'm not too sure, Jia, if I'm able to share this. Maybe you want to let them know. Yeah.
No, we're just taking my CFA level 1. So yeah, so you will see Z and Bervin for the next 2 weeks. So yeah, so if you're interested to find out more about Singapore stocks next week, yeah, just join us, and Z, Joey, and Bervin will be there.
Yep. Very good. So yeah, Jia also is improving himself, right? Taking CFA level 1. I think Z already got CMT, right? So that's awesome, right? Anything else?
Yeah, so wishing Jia all the best lah. But yeah, I mean, next 2 weeks, we'll see you guys again. And next week, we will be going back to the Singapore market lah, because today is the US market. Okay?
Right. Yeah, that's it, guys. So have a good, blessed weekend. All right. Enjoy time with your family. We'll see you guys in the next AMAS next Friday. Joey here and my team, Z and Jia signing off. Take care. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone. Bye-bye.